GNCC returns to RacerTV.com, and we have got ourselves a heavyweight bout. Gerard, your points leader with 2 wins under his belt, comes in with 152 points on the season, but it is Stu Baylor with back-to-back wins, now 10 points outside of Johnny Gerard. Who is it going to be here as we return to Powerline Park in Ohio? It all starts right here, right now, on RacerTV.com.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racer!
Good afternoon and welcome to round number 7 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized, your AMA National Championship. We are back in St. Clairsville, Ohio for the Kenda Tires Powerline Park GNCC, and we welcome in the booth Johnny Gallagher. Johnny, man, it's been a few years since we've been back on this property in Powerline Park. We're always here in the fall. This year, we're, late spring, early summer, so totally different atmosphere, and, boy, it feels good to be back.
It's great to be back, and the more things change, the more they stay the same. Slick yes. Conditions. We saw it with yesterday's ATV race, and today, it really is going to be a tale of throttle control. Who can keep the grip and get to the finish line first?
Well, really looking forward to getting to the racing today. We're coming off of the Hoosier GNCC just a couple of weeks ago, and we have ourselves a championship race at this point. Finally, Stu Baylor, felt like all season, or it felt like a very long time, rather, that we were saying no wins. Well, now he's got 2 in a row, coming off a solid performance. What do you expect out of him today and the rest of that XC1?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, through the first 4 rounds, we kept saying, hey, if Stu wants to get himself into this championship fight, he needs to get a win. Well, he did that at round 5, backed it up with another at round 6, and suddenly we've seen that pendulum of momentum swing his way. Obviously, even some more momentum swinging his way after the race. Johnny Gerard penalized the position, crossing the line in second, a fouled-up pit stop, and ultimately deciding that he had pitted outside of his pro pit area, causing a 1-position penalty, dropping him to 3rd, moving Craig DeLong up to 2nd. But if you're Stu Baylor, I think just do more of the same. He's been riding very well. Johnny Gerard, you got to get the train back on the tracks. He started off the season stellar with 3 wins in a row, and it's really starting to shake up. These 2 are the ones that are in this fight, and whoever comes out on top today kind of leaves with that momentum.
Yeah, that's it. And Stu Baylor is a guy that rides very, very well when his back is against the wall. I think it was beginning to look like that situation. So he comes out 2 in a row. And now on the flip of that, you've got Gerard. He's coming off the penalty, lost a position right there. Gerard's always just cool, calm, and collected, I think, regardless of situation. But now I think you see a little bit of a sense of urgency out of Gerard here today. He wants to get that top spot back, steal that momentum back away from Stu.
And I think whoever comes out with the win today, ultimately valuable points. We've seen a big point shift in the last 2 rounds, 18 points. Johnny's lead has dropped in the last 2 rounds, now 9 points each of the last 2. But if you're Johnny Gerard, it really is about limiting damage. It would be easy to come away after that penalty. He led the whole race 2 weeks ago in Indiana. Ultimately, again, a mistimed pit strategy and some foul-ups on his end and the team's, causing him to lose that win and then ultimately be penalized as well. So it would be easy to kind of lose focus, go into desperation mode. But I think if you're Johnny, you just need to go back to that mindset that you had early in the season and just go out there, ride your race, see what happens. If you're Stu, you have a great opportunity here to really kind of put Johnny against the ropes instead of you yourself.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And, hey, got to show some love to our buddy. Craig DeLong ended up a 2nd on the day after the penalty assessed to Johnny Gerard. I think throw the penalty out. Even if he'd finished 3rd on the day, this was the move. This was the first time, I think, this season where Craig DeLong, in my very novice opinion, looked like that championship caliber rider that we saw last year.
No, you're absolutely right. What Craig did so well last year was keep himself in the races, even if it wasn't his day to get a win.
Yeah.
He was always solid. He was always consistent. He was on the box, and that's exactly what he did 2 weeks ago in Indiana. He just rode solid all day long. Was the third best guy speed-wise all day. Stayed in the fight pretty deep into the race, and then ultimately in the last hour, the pace that Stu had put down pushing to try to catch Johnny just proved to be a little bit too much for Craig, but he wisely just kind of backed it down, stayed within his safe zone, rode it to the finish line, ultimately ending up on the podium. And I think that's going to put a lot of wind in the sails of Craig DeLong, and we may see him come out. He's a rider that's very good on these throttle control tracks, and we could see him very much up front battling for a win today.
Looking forward to watching that XC1 battle. Of course, let's show some love to that XC2 class. Gus Reardon grabbing the win in the XC2, but not without being challenged by the young Grant Davis and, of course, Liam Draper as well. Yeah, and I'll tell you what,
2 weeks ago, watching Gus Reardon and also Grant Davis kind of battling, I mean, it was back and forth. It was Grant, then it was Gus, then it was, back and forth just time and time. Every lap, it seemed like it was changing. At one point, Grant dropped quite a ways back and then ultimately putting in a late charge to get himself back into that number 2 spot. And a lot of fight out of Liam Draper, getting himself up into a podium position, putting himself back on the box. The defending champion serving notice that, hey, this season might have not gone my way so far, but I'm still here, I'm still fighting, and I want to grab some wins. Yeah, it's always fun to watch the guys in the XC2, and of course Dakota DeVore picking up that win in the FMF XC3. Yeah, and no surprise there. I mean, he's phenomenal in those conditions. It was ruddy, it was muddy, and his technical ability on that little 125cc machine is very impressive, and he ripped away for another win. Hey, the stage is set. You heard Johnny and I talking about it. We want to see what they're going to be facing here today at the Powerline Park GNCC. So for that, we'll throw it to Jared Bolton with a Yamaha track description.
Thanks, guys. We're back here at Powerline Park for the first time in about 6 years. And boy, you know what? Some of you are going to say, I don't even recognize this place. Others of you are going to look at it and go, yeah, it still looks like Powerline Park. If you got a keen eye for that kind of stuff, it is still the same old Powerline Park. But if you're a little foggy on the memory, this is going to feel like a whole new place to you. And even if you are pretty good on your memory, there's some areas where you're going to go, man, I don't ever remember coming in here. And that's by design. We've really worked hard. We found some places we didn't ride when we were here before. This place has a long history. We started coming here in 2001. We're there all the way up through 2018. Took a few years off, and now we're back. And like I said, it's a lot different, but by and far, Powerline Park was always a little bit on the fast side. And that still holds true in places, but there's also a lot of spots where this has grown over. It's gotten a little tighter. There's been virtually no riding here since the last time we were here, and it's really changed things a lot. And you know what I'm going to say? It makes it a little bit of something for everyone. But the guys that are good on that hard pack slick stuff, namely the Ohio guys, they're going to have a little bit of an advantage here at Powerline Park. That's this weekend's track description. Back to you guys.
All right, there you have it, folks. There's a little preview of what these guys are going to be facing out there on the track today. Thank you, Jared, and thank you, Yamaha Racing, for that description. Mikey needs to get down to the starting line to do some 10-second calls. He's got to get this race off and running. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with all of the racing action live on Racer TV.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sort you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Stu Baylor on screen, mile 2, out front, still roughly about that 2 to 3 second mark over Johnny Girard.
The rider in front, Stu Baylor, the rider behind, Johnny Girard. Each one of these guys wanting a piece of this win today and working very hard to get it. Stu Baylor has been behind all day. Johnny Girard leading from the drop. This is the first time we've seen him not in the lead, and it's Stu Baylor that has wrestled the lead away.
Checkered flag flying, Ricky Towery, and there he is, the 5-1-4. Stu, great ride today. Strategic, methodical, however you want to put it, man. That was a well done job by Stu Baylor.
Man, he charged hard all day, and yeah, the guy he needs to beat is the point leader, Johnny Girard, and he did that.
When I look forward to a GNCC, I genuinely look forward to the miserable third hour. Like, I like that grueling part. I mean, when I'm in severe pain and don't know that I can make it another inch and I give it another hour, like, that's what I live for.
I've seen the proof. I know the truth. This is what I was made to do. I was born for this.
He's passed them all and has an opportunity to win his first race since the Snowshoe GNCC midway through the 2011 season. And Josh Strang is going to come back and win in GNCC racing again. Josh Strang has won a lot of these races, 2010 GNCC champ, and really started to feel it in the latter stretches of this 2015 AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country season. He has shrugged off the challenge from Baylor on this final lap. And here we are into the field, is looking over to see if anyone's with him. With wins in 2 of the last 3 races, Josh Strang is on top again in Grand National Cross Country Racing.
I like Powerline Park. It's old school GNCC. I think staying away from that for a few years and going back, I think it might be actually quite fun to go back to. And actually, that's where I wrapped up my championship in 2010. So it'll be cool to go back there and race there again.
I like the place. If it rains, it can be really slick though. Really, really icy and just kind of gnarly.
Long time going track, and it's really slippery. It can be really slippery and really hard packed, and kind of an old school GNCC though at the same time. I remember it being quite a bit of kind of tighter stuff. You had to twist around mud holes and stuff like that.
If you want people to know who you are, you have to line up with GNCCs. It is an animal of its own. It's something that takes years to learn.
I feel like this is the pinnacle of off-road racing right now, and this is where everyone wants to go to compete and see where you stack up against the best off-road riders in the world.
Welcome to everybody watching at home live on RacerTV.com as you guys tune in here to the Kenda Powerline Park GNCC. We are ready and poised to introduce our starting row for the XC1 Pro Class here today. So without further ado, riding to the line first, the 969 out of North Carolina, aboard the FMF Factory Racing KTM, Johnny Gerard. Rolling to the line next, the 514, coming off 2 wins in a row at Hodges, South Carolina, aboard the Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next, the number 3 out of Livingston, Tennessee, aboard the Coastal Racing Factory Gas, Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line next, coming off his best finish of the season so far, the number 1, your defending champion out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Craig DeLong. Rolling to the line next, the 314 out of South Carolina, aboard the Babbitts Online Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki, Grant Baylor. Rolling to the line next, the 282 out of North Carolina, aboard the Phoenix Racing Honda, Mike Wachowski. And rolling to the line next, the 739 out of Morganton, North Carolina, aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Trevor Bollinger. Up next, the 347 out of Jefferson, Georgia, aboard the Active Air Max Motorsports and FXR backed Husqvarna, Evan Smith. Rolling to the line next, the number 7 rider out of Australia, aboard the JS Sherco Racing back Sherco, Josh Strang. Rolling to the line next, the 336 out of Elkin, North Carolina, aboard the Coastal Racing Factory Gas, Ryder Lafferty. And And last but certainly not least, the 178 out of Australia. Aboard the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki, Lyndon Snodgrass. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro Class here at the Kenda Powerline Park, GNCC. And as our riders take their position on row number 1 for the XC1 Pro Class, DJ Judd exits the Monster Energy Activation Transport, jumps into the Yamaha R Max 1000. Details, baby, details. He throws on the Sparkle helmet. And this is where we like to say, DJ Judd, remove the meat. And DJ Judd makes his way off of the starting line with the Monster Energy Activation Transport. Oh, sorry, buddy. And finally, we have sunshine and sunlight. I don't know where that young kid came from. He's having a good time, though. All right, all attention goes down into turn number 1, where the maestro himself, Ricky Towery, takes the reins of this race. And we go as Ricky goes. You guys give just a reminder to our spectators out there, you got to be behind that white stringer line. Everybody's got to be behind that white stringer line. Thank you, guys. Now all attention will go down into turn number 1, where the maestro, Ricky Towery, takes the reins of this race. And we go as Ricky goes. Waiting on the okay from our track officials here today. We got a good, safe racetrack for our pro race this afternoon. Johnny Gerard still sitting atop the points lead, but it is Stu Baylor coming off back-to-back wins. Can he make it happen again here today? As we are waiting Okay, sorry about that, folks. I thought maybe it was me for a moment. I was having a small little panic attack here. I don't have my radio in, so that's on me. Yeah, waiting on, make sure we got our medics and everything, and so that we've got a safe racetrack for you. So that is what our delay is. We'll get you fired up and rolling here in just a moment. Waiting on the okay. So again, been a pretty wild season so far. We've seen a winner out of the XC2 class in Josh Toth. Gerard having a sensational season. Stu Baylor rolling after these last 2 rounds. How is it all going to play down here today as we return to Powerline Park? And there you go, Ricky Towery waves his hand. Light him up, let's go racing! Now we're ready, baby. Now we're ready. Happy Mother's Day in May. The moms out here, I said it earlier. Listen, race moms, you're the baddest of the baddies out there, okay? Ain't no doubt about it. You're out here on Mother's Day at a GNCC having fun with us, or maybe you're at home watching on TV, whatever the case may be. There ain't a single one of us here that would be here without Mom, and for that, we thank you. So now Ricky Towery will make his way out onto the racetrack. Pulls up his sleeves, looks down at his watch, steps forward, and he will let our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we're ready to go. Powerline Park, GNCC Racing. For the first time since 2018, as Ricky now steps out, looks to his side, Checks the watch one more time. And there it is. Blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now. And I got to ask you, Ohio, are you ready to go? GNCC Racing. That's pretty good, but my goodness, it has been a long time. 2018, last time we were here. Let's make up for lost time. I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing! 10 seconds for row number one, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and we're off. Oh, a good drive by Craig DeLong out in front. The number one, Rockstar Energy Factory Racing, Husqvarna. Bang, there it is. He will take the Steel City Medical Center Whole Shot Award. And more importantly, the early lead. Is this the return of championship caliber Craig DeLong here today? XC2 250 Pro Class. Wait on Ricky Towery's signal. Rui Barbosa, Angus Reardon, Cody Barnes, Liam Draper, Toby Cleveland, Brody Johnson, Jason Liscombe. Blue flag waves. We got them shut down. Grant Davis and Bad Thad Duval ready to roll in 10 seconds. XC2 250 Pro. Bang, and we're off. 9:22 at Grant Davis. He had a good drive on the inside, but he's gonna, yes, and he will hang on to it. That's gonna be Grant Davis on that FMF Factory Racing Landers KTM, grabbing the Steel City Medical Center Whole Shot Award for the XC2 as we turn our attention to 10 seconds. The FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am. Zachary Davidson, Nick Davis, James June III, Dylan Carano, Dakota DeVore, Sawyer, Karatura, Owen Barnes, Jack Walker. Who wants it? 5, 4, 5. That is going to be Sawyer Karatura grabbing the Low Jack Cycle Sales Whole Shot Award. But boy, is he being challenged early. 10 seconds. Open A, Dylan T. De La Cruz, Kenton Coleman, Samuel Evans, Ezra Bryan, Parker Hutton, Trevor Hewlin, Mac Reimer, Luke Brown, Cole Whitmer, Jackson Davis, and Hunter Smith. That's going to be the 4-3-3 of Mac Reimer. Grabbing a whole shot right there, an early lead as they roll up into turn number 2. 258, 10 seconds. Lane Whitmer, Ryan Piper, Thor Powell, Cooper Jones, Bubs Tasha, Jason Tino, T-Rex, Nick DeFeo, Gavin Simon, Hunter Bush, Will Steven Piper, and Michael DeLosa out in front. 249. That is Gavin Simon on that precision off-road back ride with a whole shot and early lead. And here we go, 150A. 10 seconds. David Johnson, Tyler Shields, Tucker Kenry, Keaton Noltkamper, Rayleigh Messer, Trevor Foster, Michael Meyer, Landon Hamilton, Sion Connery, Brandon Hashman, Jacob Bolin, and Keeper Galliano. That's going to go to the 217. Little carnage in turn number 1. That is Tyler Shields out of Monterey, Tennessee, on that XC Outfitters back ride. 10 seconds. 4-stroke A lights. Colton Shields, Van Adams, Robert Wise, Rivers Morris, Chase Landers, Ty Ely, Brady Beerbaum, Lane Smith, Ryan Amancio, Caleb Baltimore, Isaiah Brown, Anton Ferriucci. And that's going to go to the 228. That is Rivers Morris out of Georgetown, South Carolina, on that Moose Racing and FMF back ride. And we've got a couple of riders down just after the first turn and shaken up as one rider trying to get back on their machine. Both guys shaken up. And we might be doing, let's see, wait on Ricky Towery's signal. Are we alternating the start? Or are we going to keep it the same? Wait on Ricky Towery's signal here. Keep your eyes on Ricky. That is the man to watch. Okay, alternate start. Pulling banners. Pay attention to Ricky. Junior A 25 plus. Here we go. Pay attention to turn number 1, boys. Follow your track officials. Junior A 25 plus. Blue flag waves. We got them shut down. And here, still hustling. There we go. We got our rider up. There you go, guys. Give that man a hand. No doubt about that. Going right here. 10 seconds. Andrew Boggs, Brandon Moore, Mario Tonchev, Jeremy Wallstrom, Russell Smith, Matthew Dreyer, Jason Key, Joshua Koch, Corey Jordan, and Andrew France. 177, Mario Tonchev. Here we go. 10 seconds. Vet A 30 plus. Robbie Norwood, Scott Hopper, Danny Hoff, Daniel Sims, Gregory Funk. You know what we say? Who's got the funk? Gregory's got the funk. Shea O'Banion. 486 or 468, excuse me. That's Daniel Sims out of Greencastle, Indiana, grabbing a whole shot early lead. 10 seconds. Senior A 40 plus. Frank Messina, Andy Shea, Tom Trulix, and Darren Damos. .362 grabs the whole shot. That's Andy Shea, and here we go. Open B, 10 seconds. Chris Gates, Corey Shoup, Blake Freiberger, Robert Hamrick, Andrew Crosta, Ryan Osterling, Trenton Stonecipher, Brendan Janikowski, Clayton Pratt. That's going to go 5-2-2, it looked like. That is Caleb Hagan out of Tompkinsville, Kentucky. 250B. 10 seconds. Devin Moore, Ty Atkinson, Holden Brendlinger, Dylan McDonald, Briar Menace, Braden Billing, Lucas Rubenstein, Austin Sakanikas, Colt Noltcamper, Lennox Riley. Who wants it? Ooh, that was too close to call. Handlebar to handlebar, side by side, just how we like it. 10 seconds. 150B, Nico Pursuti, James Simpson, Jarman Lilly, Gavin Hampton, Ryder Siggety, T.O. Broadwater, Jaden Ferris, Derek Randolph, Mason Sakanikas, Arson Bronger. Oh, man, stealing it away from him. Did not catch a number on the helmet. Mercy, taking his lunch money. 4-stroke B lights. One rider late off the line. Little time to make up. Here we go. 10 seconds. TJ Brown, Landon Workman, Jacob Mitchell, Joseph Sheelot, Bryce Woodrum, Meatball, Jacob McPherson, Keenan Rupp, Landon Hanna, Wiley Tucker, and Cody Harding. 3, 5, 4. That is Joseph Sheelot out of Uniontown, Pennsylvania on the whole shot. 10 seconds. Junior B 25 plus. Adam Machinsky, Arden Shelley, Bobby Shaw, Devin Hall, Keenan Saliga, Zach Cummins, Douglas Randolph, Dylan Davis, Aaron Waldrop, Kyle Ellett, and Billy Saliga. 7-1-8. That's going to be Aaron Waldrop grabbing the whole shot, an early lead right there. 10 seconds. Vet B 30 plus. Mike Jarosco, Nick Lobby, Jonathan Kinn, Bryce Foster, John King, Thomas Fiskus, Matthew Carter, Zach Plants, Corey Armstrong, Thomas Douglas. Whole shot goes to the 3, 4, 5. Mike Jarosco on that one. Here we go. 10 seconds. Senior B 40 plus. Larry Hopper, Fernando Pino, Robert Page, Adam Nastic, Brendan Hagan, Mike Fiskus, Brandon Black, Jason Cottrell, Jerry Page, Jason Frecker, and Aaron McAfee. Side by side. Who wants it? 7:29. and that's Jason Frecker out of Ohio. On the 100% and Thor back drive, we've got a free and clear start line. You guys are free to move about the country. Wild start. Mercy sakes alive. We are off and rolling. Doug, good to see you, buddy. We're going to take a short break, get in a word from our sponsors. Craig DeLong grabbing the Steel City Medical Center Whole Shot Award. Is Craig DeLong back? All that and more right after this.
Craig DeLong, you're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Racer TV. This is round number 7 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Specialized. We are here in St. Clairsville, Ohio for the Kenda Powerline Park GNCC. My name is Jackson Burrow, and I'm alongside Zach Heron to bring you today's race. We'll go ahead and throw things over to Zach for a start recap.
Thanks, Jackson. Yeah, it's been an awesome weekend of racing out here in Ohio already, and we've got the sunshine, and this is the kind of Ohio weather Johnny G's been telling us all about as we take a look at the Specialized start recap. And how about that? The big red number 1 headed this way, and Craig DeLong, we've been talking about when he's going to get back into the form that we saw him last year. He's got that dog in him, and that dog was barking off the start. He grabs the Steel City Medical Center whole shot. And how about Mike Wachowski on that Phoenix Racing Honda? You see making quick moves, actually sliding up the inside of DeLong and grabbing the early race lead. Lyndon Snodgrass just behind him. Then I believe that was either Ryder Lafferty or his teammate there. Now we're going to lose sight. We're going to jump over to the XC2 class where Grant Davis runs it up the inside. Himself and Jason Lipscomb, a little look over from the 707. Who's going to get it? It's going to go to that Landers Racing KTM of Grant Davis. You get a good idea of how off camber these first couple of corners are with that camera shot on the ground. You see Toby Cleveland getting a little slideways and getting some banner wrapped up in the back wheel. That could come into play later in the race. As now we jump to my favorite sounding and smelling class, the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am, and it was pretty much smooth sailing for the 545. Sawyer Karatura goes a little wide, keeps it on the gas, and is going to grab that whole shot out of the XC3 class. Looked like that was Dustin Simpson there in the 3rd place spot, trying to see which one. Jack Walker moves into the 3rd place spot as they head off into kind of the open field sections there to start things out on this race today. The Specialized start recap showing you how we got things kicked off. And now we take a look at the Yamaha Racing live drone, try to bring you the action here live. And Jackson, you got to agree, this is a much better sight as far as conditions go from what we saw yesterday. Now, looking at that Yamaha Racing track map, obviously some sections having to be cut out yesterday. We've been told there's a couple of bike-only sections being put back in. Continuously throughout the day, the track crew going around, monitoring the situation. We've had a nice little breeze consistently throughout the day, and then, of course, this Ohio sunshine as well. So as far as things go, I think this course is only going to get better as the race wears on.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you were here with us yesterday on Racer TV, you saw just how bad it was. A rough day there for our ATVs. But, hey, things are looking up here for our bikes today. The sun has been out. The wind has been blowing, so it has really been drying this place up. Nonetheless, still going to be a tough day for the boys, but looking a lot better.
Without a doubt. Now, you can see a lot of options. We got some tighter wood sections, a little bit of old school style, some open field section as well to get to where you can open up those bikes. Leaders on screen, it looked like that was Wachowski, Craig DeLong, and possibly one of the gas racers there. We'll try to get a little closer look, catching flashes of them here through the Ohio soil. That actually may be a gas in the lead. We welcome Ben Kelly into the truck with us as well. Ben, we know you're itching to be back out there. We were just talking. It was the XC2 days back when you were here the last time. What do you think about being back at Powerline Park and the race we've got ahead of us?
Yeah, it's good to be back at this location in Ohio, and weather's a lot better today. Hopefully we'll be able to call the action a little bit better. And yeah, I think that's Jordan Ashburn out there in front with Craig DeLong. Craig DeLong in second and Mike Wachowski in third. Still early on the first lap, so the pack is running pretty close to wheel.
Now, we heard in some of the pre-race reports, it sounds like these kind of conditions may play into the XC2 class, at least early in the day, kind of being able to follow suit as far as the XC1 goes on lap number 1. Then if they can get up into it, try to latch the hooks into them. Could we see some standout performances from XC2?
Yeah, definitely could, especially seeing as Grant Davis got that whole shot. He was
taking a look now, I believe.
Ryder Lafferty there.
So Lafferty actually leading the way with Craig DeLong just behind him. There is Mike Wachowski on that Phoenix Racing Honda. Lyndon Snodgrass on the Babbitt's Online Kawasaki. There is Jordan Ashburn. Behind him looks like that is Evan Smith as well. And
Stu Baylor there.
There was Stu.
Johnny Gerard, Josh
Strang. And it looks like that is
Trevor Bollinger.
Yep.
Then
and then
Grant Baylor there, and that rounds out all of XC1, I think.
Boom. So pretty much wheel to wheel right there. And how about that? Yeah, Lafferty, I believe he was about in that 4th or 5th place spot as they exited those first couple of turns and making quick work of it, trying to jump up and grab the lead.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at the track, but talking to some of the guys, they're saying that it's shaping up really good, and they think it's just going to get better and better as the day goes on. I'm sure there are some deep ruts out there, so yeah, maybe Ryder Lafferty was being more aggressive, had some good lines picked out. but he's just showing that he's got the speed right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we talked about the adverse weather we had yesterday. It was just about the tail end of the youth race when we had one heck of a storm come through. And then we had some rain earlier in the week as well. Talking to Johnny G and some of the other Ohio folks, this area is kind of known for packing the soil down. Not really notorious for getting super rutted. As we catch another glimpse, the Specialized Rapid Replay showing us where we were able to grab sight of our leaders. There is Lyndon Snodgrass. Roughly around that 4-mile mark. And so Snodgrass having some good performances as well, trying to put it together to some good results, but a good start, probably the best way to lead to a good finish.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's been running up front pretty much all year. He's had a few mechanicals here and there, so hopefully those guys at the Babbitts Online team have that stuff all figured out, and he can put out another strong finish and another podium like he did in Florida.
Absolutely. So we saw some of those deep ruts, and you could see if the camera pans back, we'll see whether or not it's going to, but even at the bottom of your screen right there, you can see just a foot or two to the left or right out of those main couple of lines. You're in about a 1.5 feet of slop, and you want to talk about something that'll take your momentum away. Line selection, I mean, it sounds like a broken record. Line selection going to be key. Yeah, of course, Zach, but obviously in something like this today, we've had hundreds of bikes making laps during kind of the main section of the trail. You get too far out, you go explore and try to make some passes. As we look into the XC2 class, looked like that was
Grant Davis out front and one of the beta riders in second.
I know Jason Lipscomb was up earlier. There was Barnes.
Gus Reardon, Liam Draper now.
Look at this. It sounds like a seasoned vet in the booth over here. Been getting mighty comfortable. I love to see it. Look at that. Eagle eye.
There.
Eagle eye. He's coming for you. He's getting comfortable up here. I love to see it, though, and the racer perspective as well. There goes Rui Barbosa. And so you can see those guys taking a little different lines, some to the left, some to the right. But back to what I was saying, Ben, in a hurry, sometimes, as you can see down there in the bottom, there was some deep slop as well. Do you think these guys kind of on lap number one going to try to funnel in, follow each other? I know those XC2 guys really going to try to figure out where the XC1 guys were going to pick up on those good lines.
Yeah, we'll see. Actually, that rapid replay we just saw, all the XC1 guys went to the outside to the left there, and all the XC2 guys, at least majority of them, seem to go to the inside. It's one of those things when you're the first guy on track, like the XC1 guys, they're a little more cautious, especially when conditions are like this. You know, they don't want to risk getting stuck. Whereas the XC2 guys, they have the line broken in. They can just be aggressive and charge. But it looks like they weren't really catching too much, so we'll see when they come through for the first lap.
Absolutely. We take a look at both the FMF PowerPoint and the Yamaha Racing race format. I'm going to be making my way over to this infamous hill once again here in just a little bit. We've got roughly a 13.5-mile track in store for you. Like I said, some spots being cut out, some being brought back in, so somewhere in the range between 10.5 to 13.5. It's a 3-hour-long race, folks. We got a lot of racing in store for you. And then in that XC1 Open Pro class, that is 122 cc's all the way up to the 450s. And then some. We've got the XC2, the 250 Pro class, and then that FMF XC3 125 Pro Am class. And those are going to be the classes we're following majority of the time, of course. Dropping back, we've got riders like Jason Tino who've been making us talk about some of these Open A 4-stroke lights classes. So we'll be giving you guys flashes of them as well, as it looks like we are going to take a look at those Rocky Mountain ATV MC points as they sit right now, and it is only 10 points. Stu Baylor, 2 in a row, grabbing some wins and chopping into that lead from Johnny Gerard, with Jordan Ashburn quietly sitting back there in third. And how about it? Grant Davis and Gus Reardon jumping up into the top 5 on overall bike points.
How about that? Craig DeLong sitting in 6th there in points. Grant Baylor, Mike Wachowski, Liam Draper, and Trevor Bollinger going to round out our top 10 so far in our series championship point standing. Zach, going back up to the top, Johnny Gerard, Stu Baylor, like you said, not much between them. This points battle is still very much alive.
Absolutely. We talked about the difference between the 2023 start of the season compared to now. Johnny Gerard looked like he was set to go on a tear and run away with this XC1 championship, but we know better than to count Stu Baylor at. He gets some momentum going, gets warmed up, and grabs 2 in a row. And, man, last thing you want to do is get this guy some confidence, especially coming into the tail end of the season. Only 2 rounds after this before the summer break, and then those final 3 rounds late in the year.
Yeah, and hearing from Johnny Gerard earlier, you know, he was saying he wasn't too worried about it. He wasn't too worried about getting the win. He just wanted to get up on the podium. He's been on the podium all season long, not missed one race up there. So that's what he said his goal was, to get up on the podium and stay consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe his exact words were, I'm not so much focused on the battles, I want to win the war. Obviously in a great spot, still leading that XC1 championship. And so the last thing you want to do is throw away the chance at a title just because you were trying to go for the win here at one of these races. Now, this is the spot I'm going to be checking out here in just a little bit. We're going to get a great look, as it looks like here comes Ryder Lafferty, still leading the way on screen, riding on that Coastal Racing gas machine, slicing and dicing his way through the crowd. And I'm going to try to take a look who all was there. There was Lyndon Snodgrass. It looked like a couple of riders still up in front of him. Believe that might have still been DeLong.
DeLong and Wachowski still there. Looks like everyone's trying to hit this main line. It's hard to see there, but Caleb Russell down there in the mud pointing out these lines to the top guys.
Absolutely. So you can
Grant
see
Baylor coming through now.
Some of these guys
XC1 pack.
having no choice. They got to just funnel in, especially in this section. It was the same thing with the quads yesterday. You may have 10, 12 different line options, but realistically, only 1 to 3 of them are actually viable options.
Yeah, especially, it's probably been a while since these guys looked at this portion of track, so it could have changed. So once the first guy goes through and makes it, it kind of becomes follow the leader. When you don't know the good line, you know that rider made it, so he goes through. As we see Grant Davis, XC2 leader, coming through. Definitely not too far off the pack of XC1.
Not totally sure. I believe that was Jason Lipscomb earlier on the beta, so I'm going to, the moment, say that I think that was him running in the second place spot. A solid performance from him. I believe there goes Liam Draper on that Ampro Yamaha. Thad Duvall behind him on that Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki. And it really, like you said earlier, Ben, it doesn't look like they're chipping away into that XC1 as much as I think a lot of people thought.
No, but we'll just have to wait to see until they come through the finish line.
And speaking of Thad Duvall, in 2018, the last time we were here at Powerline Park, he was your overall winner. So he knows his way around the Powerline Park facility here, and that some of the tracks still the same, but one big difference, they used to do it later in the year, and now we have all the trees are green, got all the foliage on them, so they said that was changing things up a good bit for them.
And bringing up some of those past winners, so like we said, Thad Duvall grabbing the overall win in 2018. Caleb Russell handling business in 2017 and 2018. We got to talk about Josh Strang, too. He's got some wins out here in 2015 and 2014. Thad and Josh both on our Moto Tees event shirt for this weekend, and both of their children getting up on the podium as well. They were calling out Dad, saying, you better step it up. I got up on the podium. You got to do the same thing as well. So we'll see who's going to be crowned the overall winner out here today. And Thad trying to do it from the second row, so he's got his work cut out for him.
See Charlie Mullins there winning it in 2012, 2013. Charlie racing there at our last race. Good to see him out and about with us as we take a look at our Yamaha Racing live drone, trying to spot the riders through the trees. And there we caught a glimpse of them.
And you mentioned it earlier, Jackson, the previous rounds, it was much later in the year, as it looked like there was a side-by-side battle going on. Couldn't quite make out who those were, but I told you earlier in the AM bike race, I was walking through, fired the Lamborghinis up, as you like to say. I saw a rider get pulled completely, actually right where we are right now, right where it looked like Lafferty just went through. A rider getting pulled off the back of the bike because he got hit by a tree limb. These guys are slinging this Ohio mud up. It's starting to weigh the trees down, and so the foliage doing a lot more than blocking the drone shots. It is causing chaos down on the ground as well.
And for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, the roofs from these motorcycles and the ATVs yesterday, that's probably when a lot of it got through up there, was from the ATVs yesterday. But the mud gets stuck up on the trees. It lowers those branches down and will catch these riders.
Now this is the kind of shot that we love having for the Yamaha Racing live drone, getting a great look at what we believe is pretty much all of our XC1 field, and probably going to start to catch into the XC2 top riders as well. And we talk about the variables out here. We've got some of the tighter wood sections. We've got the deep ruts, the roots as well. You've got these open field sections, and you can see some of this area extremely shiny and hard packed. It's kind of got a lot of bit of a reputation to get packed down. I believe I actually just saw some dust out there as well. I can't believe it. But Ben, we talk about the various kinds of slick when you're racing out in GNCC. You've got the wet stuff, but then that hard packed dry slick as well. That can reach up and grab riders as well.
Oh, definitely, especially just the drastic change from the hard pack dry slick to the wet slippery Ohio clay that we have here. Reminds me a lot of the John Patton. And on this first lap, I think you're going to see these guys stick to the main line a lot, try to stick to the dry stuff. And like I said, I think it's going to continue to dry up as the race wears on and as we get more bikes out there on track. And I think as they came out of the woods there earlier, it looked like Jordan Ashburn had made the pass on Mike Wachowski for third, with Mike in fourth, Johnny G there in fifth, and then I think it's still Lyndon Snodgrass behind him.
So it looks like Johnny Gerard trying to make some quick moves early, get into the top side of that top five. We know Stu Baylor, his brother Grant, kind of the same way. Takes him a little bit to get going. We heard from Stu earlier in the pre-race report. He said, hey, I'm going to kind of take my time here. I want to make sure I don't throw anything away on the first lap, and then from there, we're going to try to go to work.
Yeah, it seems to be a plan that he likes to do a lot, and it seems to work for him. It's worked for him at the past two races. Let's see if he can just stay with the pack close enough, learn the track. Like I said, you know, everyone's saying that the track is not as bad as it was yesterday, of course, and there shouldn't be too many mud holes out there, but you get so many bikes out there on the track. You got to be careful not to get caught up in a deep rut where you can lose too much time.
Yeah, absolutely. The main lines, maybe not quite as much as we saw yesterday, but we've even seen in some of those previous shots, you get too far to the left or right, and it can reach up and grab you. And look at this. Craig DeLong putting the pressure on. He's bringing Jordan Ashburn along with him. They're chasing after Ryder Lafferty. Ryder, it's here at round 7. It kind of sounds crazy to talk about, but still his inaugural full season in the XC1 class, getting some more experience up in the top of the field. And all in all, I mean, Ben, you know what it's like to make the jump from XC2 to the XC1 class. It's not an easy feat by any means. What do you think is going through the mind of Lafferty right now?
I'm sure it hasn't been the start of the season that he's wanted. He shows that he has speed at the Enduros, winning those against a lot of these same guys. So it's good to see him out front. You know, he trains with Craig and Johnny and a handful of these guys, so he should be comfortable where he's at. You know, maybe not leading an overall GNCC, but as long as he just treats it like any other day, just keeps going. He's doing the hard work right now, picking the lines.
And looks like the riders making their way through the pits here for the first time, and DeLong is hot on the heels. There goes Jordan Ashburn, Mike Wachowski just behind him, Johnny Gerard, and there is Lyndon Snodgrass still hanging tough on that Babbitt's Online Kawasaki. So those are your top 4 or 5 on coming through, and looks like there was a little bit of a gap starting to open up between the kind of the first half and the second half of the XC1 class.
Looks like Craig DeLong trying to make some moves right here.
Tries to slice underneath him. You saw how he lost traction on that back end. Throttle control going to be super crucial here in some of these hard packed spots, and shouldn't be long before we see them come through the finish line. We'll be able to give you an idea of some of these splits and gaps as they make their way through. And like we said, a little bit, you saw the open field sections. Now we've got some of the tighter, slower wood sections as well. So getting a little bit of everything out here at the Kenda Tires Powerline Park. And here he comes for a full lap lead. And it's going to be the Coastal Racing Gas of Ryder Lafferty checking in. There's Craig DeLong just behind him. Jordan Ashburn, Mike Wachowski, and Johnny Gerard, with Lyndon Snodgrass coming along as well. There is that little bit of break just after Snodgrass, so looks like kind of a breakaway group of your XC1 riders trying to do damage early.
Yeah, now with the first lap done, these guys are going to be a little more confident, knowing where there might be a section they need to be cautious to not get stuck. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some position changes on this second lap.
And that brings up a good...
As we see Craig DeLong go around the outside of Ryder Lafferty.
All right, so Ben Kelly, I'm glad you're a racer, man. You're coming for our job. He's speaking of future out here. No Stu Baylor we're hearing on the check-in so far. So there is a chance that we could have some transponder issues. Okay, so he has checked in.
12th place position.
Wow, so Stu has got his work cut out for him. We knew it takes him a minute to get going, but
and he's about 50 seconds off the leaders.
Yeah, so what are you thinking on Ben? Something happened, maybe went down, problem? I mean, that definitely doesn't seem like just a lack of pace.
Yeah, that seems strange for a guy like Stu especially to be that far off the gap, but you never know. He could be tight. He could have got hung up in a rut, could have crashed, could be a whole lot of things, but I'm not going to count Stu out. Still a lot of racing to go, and he's come back from deficits more than that.
Absolutely. Now, talking about guys you never want to count out, we've got the reigning champion, Craig DeLong. We talked about it, not the start of the 2024 season that we want. And just like that, Grant Davis jumps up to the overall leader. So we talked about XC2 having a chance at this thing. Grant Davis trying to make quick work of it. He's looking good so far, but we heard a lot of those XC1 boys. I think Mikey was trying to get in their heads a little bit. Hey, yeah, what about these XC2 guys? And I think it was Stu Baylor that was like, hey, don't get me wrong. They're fast in the beginning, but at the end, it's that final hour that makes or breaks the overall.
They brought up a really good point when Stu Baylor was talking about it. Johnny Gerard talking about it as well. Today is a good day for the XC2. Just as Ben was mentioning, the first lap there, they were saying the XC1 boys a little more timid, trying to figure out where the lines are, versus when the XC2 comes through, they can see where the XC1 went and they charge at it head first. That gives somebody like Grant Davis the opportunity to hop on up into that overall. So it's Grant Davis, Cody Barnes, and Ryder Lafferty that checked in on the finish line. We know Ryder Lafferty has now been passed by Craig DeLong, but 2 of our XC2 in the top 3.
Yeah, Cody Barnes really kind of coming back to life here mid-season as well. He grabbed a whole shot at the last round. I believe he had a couple of issues that didn't keep him from grabbing the win, but it's confidence breeds results, breeds confidence, as Johnny likes to say. So he's back up towards the front end of the field and looking to put in another solid result for those Phoenix Honda riders as we lose sight of him for just a minute. And Ben, it looked like there was a little bit of a sense of urgency there for Craig DeLong. Obviously, he probably wasn't enjoying eating the roost off the back of Ryder Lafferty, but he tried to make quick work of it. Do you think we're going to see him set a sprint pace now that he's got a whole lap under his belt, or did he just want to be leading this pack?
It's a toss-up.
Hard to say.
For sure, it's a toss-up, but he's obviously feeling good. You know, this is an Ohio race, and he's from PA, so more of a local round for him. He had a good race at the last round, you know, ending up second, so that breeds some confidence, and he looks to be riding more confident. As we saw at the last race, you know, he said he was riding tight early on there and kind of dropping back when he was up front, so he must be feeling good. Bike's feeling good, and it's showing. So I think, like I said, he's kind of building off of each better result, growing some confidence, having some small victories, and I'm sure with that #1 plate, not having the start of the season he wants to win bad.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we'll wait and see how things are going to shake up here at the top of the XC1 field. Craig DeLong trying to make it happen right now, but he's got at least the front half of the XC1 field hot on his heels, and then whether he knows it or not, the XC2 boys trying to shake things up on elapsed time as well, as we welcome Eagle Eye himself, Johnny G, into the booth. Johnny, what you been seeing?
Just out there checking some things out, seeing how the track is shaping up. Obviously, Ben was talking, a lot of the guys saying the track is really tacking up nicely and just going to get better as the race goes on. Definitely the case. Obviously, listening to you guys earlier while I was out walking around, you could just, hard to believe this is even the same racetrack that we watched for 2 hours yesterday. Things are drying up, but this dirt here is odd. It can even be slick when it's dry. So even though it looks like the conditions starting to become a lot better, definitely still going to keep these guys on their toes all day long. Going to see a lot of guys with a little bit of dirt on the side after taking little slides. Even some of the stuff that seems drier, still slick.
Yeah, the story yesterday was slick, slicker, and slickest, right? It was just kind of picking the best of the worst options. And now definitely some better options there, even walking around by the finish line area. A lot of this has dried out. That's been getting the sun, but as you can see, if we lose sight of them on the drone, that means the sun's probably not peeking its way through there as well. So whole different story out in the woods.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. I mean, what looks to be, you know, really drying up here out in the fields, in the woods, completely different story. Definitely some sections. I got some snaps and some videos of some of the guys trying to pedal the track last night, and it looked like an exercise in futility. I mean, they were just pushing, working in groups to try and get themselves through, and actually one of the snaps was from this guy right here, Craig DeLong, and look at this, opening up a gap. Our defending champion starting to really feel himself and feel his legs, and look at the gap he's already opened up over what is now the second place rider. Oh, it is still Ryder Lafferty, then Ashburn and Mike Witkowski there in the #4 spot. So it's, wow, these guys are they're pushing hard, and Craig DeLong able to open up a little bit of gap right now.
You could almost even tell in that straightaway right there, it looked like Craig had a flow, right? He was kind of bouncing, hopping, almost Jet Lawrence style the way through those braking bumps. It's good to see Craig get the confidence and the comfort back that we saw, especially towards the tail end of the 2023 season.
Yeah, I think the big thing here for Craig, you know, he had already made the comment several times last week and early coming into this week that, you know, he's an hour and a half from home. Obviously, it's not in his home state of Pennsylvania, but he lives in Waynesburg now, which is just, you know, barely over an hour, hour and a half from here. So it just feels like home. And the other thing, you know, I think it's worth pointing out, Craig DeLong, a rider that has great throttle control, grew up riding in some very slick, rocky conditions. So that's going to come into play here today. You know, it's not just an all-out sprint. It's trying to find grip where there is none a lot of times.
Well, he's doing it right just now because, man, he has opened it up in a hurry. And it shouldn't be long. I believe he's going to pop back out for another field section. And we can actually hear them jetting by the Racer TV truck. And, I mean, look at that. That is quite the gap already. That's B. Neal type gap right there on the end of lap 1.
Yeah, B. Neal gap, well, he had about 43 seconds, so it's a little less than that. But I think the big thing is you can see how hard he is charging. You know, Ben, there's a furious battle behind him right now with Ryder Lafferty, obviously Jordan Ashburn, and also Mike Witkowski really hanging tough, looking good there. But Craig able to ride away from those guys, at least for now, really kind of shows you maybe he's trying to make a break for it. You know, it seems like a lot of these races so far this year, we've seen, you know, Johnny or maybe someone else get out to just a slight little bit of a gap. But Craig looks like he might be trying to go and make his move right now for the day.
Yeah, he's playing it smart. He got to the front, and like you said, he's putting on maybe a 5 to 10 second gap where he's just far enough ahead where these guys can't see him. You know, they could see him in the fields, but not in the woods, so they're not able to key off of him, which is great because it's obviously much easier to follow.
You can see things starting to tighten up just in the race behind those guys there. Pretty much comes the rest of our XC1 guys. And looking at the overall, you can obviously see the XC2 boys 1 and 2 there. They'll be coming sooner or later. There is Stu Baylor, so still moving and at a pretty high rate of speed. Looks like he's made some passes.
Looks like Grant Davis right there on his
Right
wheel.
on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that right there, that's something, you know, if you're Grant Davis, that's an opportunity, to say the least. A guy that most likely is going to find himself near the front of that XC1 pack by the end of the race. If you're Grant Davis and you can latch on, you know, that puts you in a very good position for the overall later in the race.
Yeah, this is good, and now that he caught the pack of them, someone like Stu especially, who could very likely find his way to the front of the pack at the end of this race. If Grant can stay with him, he could be right there, as he's already made up that 1 minute deficit. And we've seen him even at the last Enduro he had an impressive second place finish, won some tests even, so he's got the speed, he's got youth on his side, you know, he's aggressive, he got that whole shot, and man, he looked to be sprinting right from the start, as that's what I saw. So yeah, he wants to win.
But a little bit of perspective there, you know, going back a few years when you yourself were a young buck in that XC2 class, we would often see you and your fellow New Englander and at the time Trail Jesters teammate, Josh Toth, you guys would get up there in that overall from that XC2. I know I've talked to you before about it. You said, the goal was always to win XC2. But at the same time, did you ever find yourself kind of wondering or frustrated, like, man, how come early in the race we can get up in there and then it seems like these guys are able to pull away? Or did you kind of always know that maybe it was just that little bit of extra experience and tenacity later in the race that XC1 class has?
Yeah, just experience and fitness, honestly. Yeah, at this race last year, at this race last time we were here in 2018, I was able to be third on the podium behind Thad and Caleb, who were the two top dogs going 1-2 pretty much every race. And no, when I was in XC2, you know, obviously I wanted to win XC2. That was the main goal, but I was always trying to do the best I could in the overall. There's no reason to settle unless you're out front. So I was constantly charging, because that was just going to make me a better rider at the end of the day. And obviously, eventually, I wanted to be XC1. I wanted to be winning overalls. So it's good to see Grant Davis doing the same thing.
Yeah, well, that plan panned out pretty well for you over the years. And Craig DeLong, a former XC2 champion as well, now up and has an XC1 championship to add to his resume after the 2023 season. And obviously not the start to 2024 that Craig DeLong was looking for. I mean, so many frustrating rides, so many issues. And then, you know, we did see him finally put it on the box 2 weeks ago. And it's funny how that little bit of confidence can go such a long way. And now we're seeing a hard charging Craig DeLong that doesn't look like he wants to race these guys for a win. Looks like he wants to try to run away with it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's out there. He wants to hurt their spirits. He wants them to know that he's the guy he was last year, and he seems to be doing it right now.
Yeah, the gap seeming to be just a couple bike lengths more. There is still Ryder Lafferty, the 336. Somewhat, I would go out on a limb and say similar dirt and similar conditions here today. Johnny Gerard has now caught that pack and brought Lyndon Snodgrass with him a little bit further back in our previous camera shots. He is now right there, as is Josh Strang on that factory Sherco. Best ride we've seen out of Strang so far here. Evan Smith hanging on. Here comes Trevor Bollinger, Grant Baylor.
Stu should be waiting to see Stu next.
Yeah, Stu and Grant Davis
still a little bit
not
off the
too
toe.
far behind. There he is. There is Stu, and he looks like he's gotten a little bit larger of a gap over Grant Baylor, but not much. Grant's still kind of in that draft, following him along and able to see the lines that Stu's taking, and also kind of key off his intensity as well.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully Grant can stay close enough to Stu Baylor's wheel to where he can follow his lines, save a little bit of energy, and let Stu do the hard work and keep towing him to the front.
And keep in mind, folks, we have already seen Grant Baylor on the overall podium at round 2 in Florida earlier this year. There's looks like Gus Riordan coming by. Then it's Liam Draper, Cody Barnes, Thad Duvall, another rider that I think is going to be very comfortable in these conditions. Very close to home for him as well, and used to riding this slick Ohio clay. I know his dirt in West Virginia a little bit different, but he rides over in Ohio a good bit. But to that point, the buckwheat last year, we saw the best overall ride that we've seen out of Ryder Lafferty, you know, up battling for a podium position throughout the entirety of the race. Only in the final miles did he go down and give away what looked to be almost an assured second place finish. A lot of similarities between the buckwheat and here, just in terms of how slick the ground is, where it seems like there's grip and there's not. So, you know, maybe it's Ryder Lafferty's one of those riders that just has a little bit extra throttle control as well.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's a guy like Craig who is smooth on the throttle, rides a gear higher. And when he does ride, you know, it doesn't seem like he's riding quite as aggressive as maybe the others, but he seems to carry the pace, carry the momentum, and especially that works on a track like today.
Yeah, and you would have to assume, and you see these guys all still. Oh, Johnny Gerard with the last-minute line change there, going from the inside or outside rut to the inside, and they're right there. You can see just how slick it is. Lennon Snodgrass right up that left-hand line. Josh Strang behind him, and then Evan Smith. Man, these guys all just kind of feeding off each other, pushing the pace. Trevor Bollinger right there as well, and then there comes Grant Baylor. Yeah, when you're in a case like, oh, look at this, Stu Baylor definitely made up some time from that last camera shot. He's charging and bringing the young Grant Davis right with him. You know, if you're Ryder Lafferty, I think we could go on a limb and say a little bit probably disappointed with the way his rookie first full season of XC1 is gone. But all it really takes is just a couple laps, that one ride to kind of break through. And it looks like today could possibly be the day that he makes that happen.
Yeah, we'll have to see early on in the race, but if he just keeps doing what he's doing, things should be looking good for him as we have second place and third place in XC2 coming through.
And fourth and fifth. So there is your top 5 in XC2 with Thad Duvall. A little bit of a unique look for him this weekend with the full camouflage seat cover and some accents on the machine. He and teammate Stu Baylor deciding to do the bike build off. Stu going with the retro 90s Cowie look with the purple. And I believe our own Zach Heron called it, what was it, the purple nurple?
The purple nurple, yeah, absolutely.
And that thing, it looked pretty sweet. Being an older guy myself, I remember those Cowies from back in the 90s. I believe that was 95, 6, somewhere around there that they had the purple in the graphics. They looked pretty good. And Thad Duvall, man, he's an outdoorsman. Fishing, hunting, those are his things. So he went with the full camo look and keeping it fun on that team. And Thad obviously up solidly in a top 5 position there. Again, close to home ride. And Thad surely looking for a good one here today.
Well, guys, this is how it's all started to shape up. Craig DeLong trying to make quick work of it. He makes a quick pass and is trying to set sail. As we see there he goes. He's trying to bring the Coastal Racing Gas boys along with him. Ryder Lafferty and Jordan Ashburn doing a great job. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, and then we will be back to find out how this Kenda Tires Powerline Park GNCC wraps up.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to my mom and Cindy, Caitlin's mom. Happy Mother's Day.
I have a bunch of women I like to call mom. My grandma, my actual mom, and Kim, my other mom, and a big shout out to my girlfriend. She's a mom, and yeah, all the moms out there. You know, if you're around this sport, you know how hard it is to have to take care of your kid or make him a sandwich when he needs it, whatever. And so yeah, happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
All right, we're back here. You can see the dirt starting to dry up. We've got a great racetrack shaping up and racing action already heating up with Craig DeLong out front. Very close battle behind him. Looks like we've got some highlights from some previous trips here to Powerline Park. Haven't been here since 2018, but it's always been a venue that provides great racing action, and we expect nothing different today, all the way back to 2014. I don't even believe our co-host today, Ben Kelly, was even born yet back then. We see Caleb Russell there on the number 1 machine, Paul Whibley on the number 5, and looks like it was Caleb Russell getting out front. Charlie Mullins there as well. Like one of the riders receiving a penalty, couldn't exactly see who that was, most likely starting early.
Josh Strang, I believe.
There we go. So it was Josh Strang. And then we see Caleb Russell and Josh Strang getting together.
I think that's when Caleb was on the 150.
This was the race Caleb, yes, like you said, Caleb Russell ran the 150. They got together, made some contact. Jumping ahead one more year to 2015. This time, Jordan Ashburn always getting good starts on that Ampro Yamaha at the time. Ryan Sipes coming by on that Husky machine. That's actually Corey Buttrick there on the 121. And then the number 2 of Josh Strang, having moved over from the, oh, look at that. This is back when we had the mud jump still. Josh Strang getting it done. Looked like that was actually Grant Baylor back when he was on the Ampro Yamaha. Jordan Ashburn. So there was 2 Ampro Yamahas there on the podium. Grant Baylor back again the following year in 2016, again on the Ampro Yamaha. The number 7 of Jordan Ashburn when he made the switch over to KTM. So you can see these guys often changing machines, changing teams. But 2 familiar faces at the front. The 114 of Josh Strang and the number 1 of Caleb Russell battling it out. A lot of battles between these two, a lot of passes just like this here. We saw so much of this for so many years.
I see the mud has not changed. It's still like an ice skating rink out there.
The dirt itself here is so
later.
slick. Yes, absolutely. And obviously a little drier back on this day in 2016. We used to have this almost hard enduro-esque section where they'd have to go through these big boulders. Got some telephone poles. Got Jordan Ashburn lurking in the background there on that KTM machine at the time. But Caleb Russell able to come across the line, get it done. 2017, Grant Baylor then over to the KR4 Husqvarna team. We see, I believe that may have been Johnny Gerard on the 969 there. Don't even remember him being there that year, but it kind of looked like him. It was the right number. Jordan Ashburn now on the factory beta, the musical teams, musical chairs, but Grant Baylor out front on that KR4 Husqvarna early. Heavy pressure from behind. Josh Strang back on that 114. That was Craig DeLong actually from the XC2 class that already worked his way up into the front.
Was that his brother?
Back then. I believe it was Craig, but it could have been. And that was definitely Johnny Gerard there. You can recognize that Hellion lid.
I think that year he told me he was on a 300 2-stroke racing the XC1 class.
Grant Baylor, Caleb Russell making the pass around the outside there. And again, Mikey, what's that stuff? Mud, slick,
yeah,
no front fender, but once again getting it done in 2017. Caleb Russell.
Man. It's so funny. You look at you watch these, move it fast forwarding to 2018.
If you remember, there's a heavy crash here from Chad Duvall.
Yep. Oh, man.
Ends up breaking his hand or wrist, but comes back to win.
Mercy. Yeah, absolutely insane. And that is a shot from today because that is Craig DeLong rocking the number 1. But it's kind of funny. Like, things change, but they stay the same, right? Like, you look at the gear, and that doesn't seem like that long ago. But then you look at it now, and you're like, those are like the old days now at this point. It's kind of wild.
Lapped riders already in the mix. Johnny Gerard up there to the back of Jordan Ashburn.
Looks like Mike Wachowski might have made the pass back on Jordan Ashburn.
Definitely did. And it's Josh Strang. Good ride for Josh Strang so far here today. Solidly up just near the tail end of that top 5. Then it's Trevor Bollinger on the 739. Stu Baylor has actually made the pass around Grant Baylor and Evan Smith. And Grant Davis right there as well, right in the mix with the XC1 class. And starting to open up a little bit of a gap over Gus Reardon there in the number 2 spot in that XC2 class.
We did the Monster Interview pre-race report. Big question I was asking everybody. I don't know if I asked Ben this or not, but XC2, historically, as we see Craig DeLong rolling through the FMF PowerPoint, the packed FMF PowerPoint, not uncommon for us to see the XC2 guys up in the pack early. It seems to be a major theme this year. And obviously that third hour thing, we start seeing separation. But Josh Toth did grab a win this year. I know, an abbreviated race, etc. Why do you think that is this season? Why is that so prevalent, what seems like more than it has been in the past?
I think anytime you have some heavy hitters really kind of doing battle. Oh, look at that. Johnny Gerard now making the pass on Wachowski. Wachowski just having a little bit of loss of grip there while he was climbing. Gerard able to put the power to the ground, make the pass. Josh Strang actually looked like he made a couple more moves there. Oh, okay, we can see some riders coming around the outside, multiple lines there.
Looked like he just snuck by Linton Snodgrass at the top of the hill there, though.
And there is Grant Davis, has now gotten around Grant Baylor. I think when you have some heavy hitters in that XC2 class pushing each other, like we've seen this year with Grant Davis and also Gus Reardon, and a few other riders in the mix as well, Liam Draper, obviously Josh Toth, like those guys are pushing each other with such intensity. I think that's what pushes them up into the XC1 class a little earlier in the race, and a big part of it too, we've talked about it so many times, the XC1 guys just a little bit more experienced. They're
more mature.
Well, and it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just different. They're like, hey, this is a 3-hour race. You know, I know I cannot win this thing on lap 1, but I can lose it. So there just doesn't seem to be as much excitement in that XC1 class normally. But today, you know, kind of shoe on the other foot. Craig DeLong saying, hey, I'm excited. I want to get to the front. I want to show these guys I didn't earn this #1 plate by a fluke. I went out there. I was fast. I won races, and I want to do that again here in 2024.
Watching our leaders on the Yamaha Racing live drone, and yeah, to Craig's credit, you know, we talked about it at the end of the last race. That was the finish that it was the first time this season Craig really looked like Craig out there on the track, and he's having a repeat of that here today.
Ben, we just saw, you want to call it out, your teammate making some moves there.
Yeah, it looked like Johnny Gerard made his way up to second somewhere there in the woods, got by Jordan Ashburn and Ryder Lafferty.
Yep. And putting on a charge, already starting to open up a few bike lengths. Johnny Gerard may have got the memo. Hey, that guy you train with throughout the week, Craig DeLong, that has the big #1 plate, he is checking out. You might want to go find him before he gets too far away. Looks like Johnny is on a mission to do just that. Credit to Mike Wachowski, still hanging tough there. Ryder Lafferty still hanging out in the #3 spot, riding very well early in this one. And Jordan Ashburn solidly there in the #4 spot.
Yeah, and you guys were talking about how Johnny Gerard's not really looking to get the win. He's just looking to be on the podium. But after the last 2 races, you know, he lost it. I'm sure he's feeling a little bit bittersweet. He made a couple of mistakes, but he's learning from them. And I'm sure he wants that momentum to be rolling back in his favor, taking that away from Stu Baylor. So now up into second place. Let's see if he can chip away at Craig DeLong's lead.
Yeah, not only, I'm assuming Craig is already through and gone here. We'll have to confirm with our producers. But, you know, Johnny not only wanting momentum, but points, big swing the last couple weeks. I mean, this was a 28-point gap, essentially just 4 weeks ago, 2 races ago, now down to 10 points. So that's 18 points. It was 2 9-point weekends for Stu Baylor that he made up on Johnny Gerard. So it was almost just right on the cusp of being a full 1-race lead is now 10 points. I mean, that's negligible. So at this point, Johnny wanting max points, wanting to grab that win, knowing 30 points is the max he can get, and he wants to start opening that lead back up rather than seeing it shrink like it has been the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, it was interesting talking to him, Monster Energy pre-race report, and he was echoing those thoughts. I said, is it, you know, you've dropped the last 2 to Stu. The one guy you need to make sure you're finishing in front of right now is the 514. Is that the focus? Do you want to answer back with a win? He said, Mikey, I'm focused on the war this season. A little bit of a different approach. I'm looking at the big picture. I just want to make sure I'm getting good results. And obviously, I think with good results come finish in front of that 514.
Sure, absolutely. And, you know, Johnny, last year we saw some flashes of brilliance, but, you know, as he's alluding to, focusing on the war, you know, there's 13 races this year, and yes, we're getting basically to that halfway point now, or about halfway through this race, we will be at the halfway point of the season. So you can look at it as, hey, we've accomplished a lot in the first half of the season, but you also know you still have half to go. One bad race can really derail a championship, and one win will not win a championship. So not wrong in thinking like, hey, man, if I'm on the box every week, week in and week out, it should be good. But when the guy that you're battling for the championship wins those races and you're finishing third, you're giving up 9 points a weekend. So it's that balance of taking what the race and the track itself will give you, but also knowing if you want to keep yourself in the fight, you need a little more.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. You know, we've seen it in the last few years, especially from Stu Baylor's perspective, the championship battle he had where Ben won his national title comes down to Ironman. You put so much pressure on yourself. Sometimes they can't prevent that, but nonetheless, you want a little breathing room in there if completely possible.
This looks like Ryder Lafferty and Jordan Ashburn have wicked it up. Starting to look like Johnny Gerard might pull away, but now they are right back to the rear wheel. We'll see exactly what the gap is. Looked like it was 58.26 when Craig DeLong exited the woods here at the 12-mile marker. We'll see what the timestamp is when they come by. So it's been 10 seconds already, and here comes Johnny Gerard in the number 2 spot, 13, 14, 15, 16. We're going to say probably around that 16, 17 second mark. And Mike Rakowski still hanging tough there. Fellow Hoosier for you, Mikey Waits. Really kind of a breath of fresh air these last couple rounds. Been riding very well.
Yeah, you know what? He had his own battles running the XC2 class, and I don't know what his expectation. I need to just talk with him, see what his expectation was for the XC1. But I gotta think he's on par for that, or maybe even above, with how he's competed, especially these last few rounds.
You can see, Ben, a little bit of what might be going on here with Craig pushing so hard is once he gets out of sight on these guys, it gets so much harder for them to kind of pace themselves. Yes, they have the pit boards, but when you can see someone, it's almost the sense of urgency is not nearly as much, where I would say better than 75% of the track, these guys are not even catching a glimpse of him. The way this track is kind of serpentine and switches back and forth, he may not be that far ahead at only 15 to 20 seconds, somewhere in there, but they don't even see him. The only thing they're seeing is pit boards.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure right there, it almost looked like maybe Johnny was able to get an eye on him coming through the pits where it loops back on itself. But something like this, now that Craig has a bit of a gap, he has the luxury to kind of be creative with his lines, whereas someone like Johnny kind of has to be blocking the insides because, the rider there in third behind him, Ryder Lafferty, is going to be trying to make the pass at any point.
There you go. Jordan Ashburn taking a look over his shoulder, seeing who it is behind him, but he's racing in front of him, trying to get around his Coastal Racing Gas teammate, Ryder Lafferty, and now checking in for his first lead lap today. Craig DeLong kind of moving his head around a little oddly there, maybe trying to make sure that water bottle stays there. He's a rider. We've talked about it before. He will keep those water bottles in there for sometimes it seems like laps.
Yeah, it's him and Bryson Neal. I don't know. They've got that thing dialed.
The guy
hate to be their dentist.
Wiping off your number on your helmet could be a bit aggressive there with that wet sponge.
That is possible.
Knocking you off the bike.
That could be what it was there. They are checking in. Mike Rakowski still sitting back there in that number 5 spot, very much in sight of the riders in front of him. We see Johnny Gerard in second.
19 seconds back now.
19 seconds. So it seems like he's continuing to open it up just a couple seconds at a time. Will Johnny Gerard be able to pick up the pace and drag these guys a little bit closer to the rear wheel of Craig DeLong, or we continue to stretch it out? Right now, he's a man on a mission looking to prove a point.
We'll also have to wait to see as the XC2 leader, Grant Davis, comes through, see if he jumps back up to the front or not.
Looks like per our running order there, we've got a number 445, Sabulski is leading the way, but with a, let's see here.
Grant Davis,
there we go.
At the completion of lap 2 is still leading the overall.
And if you look at the elapsed time there, looks like, oh wow.
5 seconds or so?
Yeah, very close. So Craig DeLong on a mission, starting to really chip into that, but Grant Davis, for right now at least, still has the lead on corrected time there. Still continuing to check in. Looks like our second place rider in XC2 has checked in. Angus Reardon back there in the number 8 spot. So there is the difference between those. And if you look at the gap back to Angus, it looks like Grant Davis has built almost a 40-second gap already in that XC2 class. So he is really a man on a mission right now.
Yeah, he did a good job bridging the gap to the XC1 guys early. Broke away from the rest of the XC2 pack, as we see kind of second through fifth there in XC2 is wheel to wheel.
Our XC2 guys having a heyday out in front so far through 2 in this one. And of course, Craig DeLong, boy, finally looking like the Craig DeLong we know. But we were talking a little bit about Johnny Gerard. Hey, he's our points leader out there. And you know what, boys? It is Mother's Day. None of us, not a single one of us, would be here without Mom. And in a really cool segment, we were able to catch up with Johnny Gerard and talk a little bit about Mother's Day.
Yeah, my mom, she's just not been dealt the best cards in life, and she's one of the strongest people I know, and has kept me and my brother and my sister rolling after an unfortunate passing of my dad at a young age. I was 14, my brother was 15, and my sister was 9 or 10. So yeah, my mom's done a heck of a job to you know, try to be a parent of 2, and yeah, she's just a very strong lady, and give mad props to her for keeping the ball rolling and keeping life going. And obviously my baby mama and mother to my son Ziggy, she's an amazing woman, and you know, keeps the ball rolling every day with training and always being with me, and she's always making sure I have what I need, and traveling to every race that I go to, and being there, you know, pretty much every day during practice, helping me with what I need. And yeah, she's just an awesome mother, and yeah, I appreciate those 2 women.
Well, there you go. Johnny Girard talking about his mom and his baby mama.
Baby mama,
as he put it.
I love it.
But, you know, when you go around the racetrack, obviously when you go to, there is Johnny Girard. He is on screen. Looks like our leader, Craig DeLong, already through. Ryder Lafferty still there in the number 3 spot. And Jordan Ashburn starting to look real racy there in 4. Looking like maybe he wants a shot to get around there. That's Mike Witkowski and Lyndon Snodgrass still working their way by here at the 1 mile marker. You know, when you look at these factory teams, Ben, you know, you can attest to this. A lot of people there helping. Trevor Bullinger now coming through here on screen. Ooh, you can see how slick it is. He pushed wide there, like hitting a patch of ice in the dark. Josh Strang on that factory Sherco again. Solid ride for him. It looks like Grant Baylor has actually gotten back around Grant Davis. We saw Evan Smith.
Grant Davis. Still have yet to see Stu Baylor, so it looks like Grant Davis made his way past Stu Baylor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no Stu. Stu was up ahead of Grant Davis. You are right about that. We did not see Stu come through. The camera did pan a few times there, but I didn't see any blurs of green go by. So
no, but coming through the finish, he was 16th overall behind Evan Smith. So possibly the next rider we see.
There he is. Yeah. Looking good, looking racy, but...
do we think it's maybe a pit strategy? Did he go in for fuel?
We can maybe try to get an update on that. Now, here comes our new second-place rider in that XC2 class, Liam Draper, and then Angus Reardon there in the number 3 spot. There is Cody Barnes, 4th in that XC2 Pro Lights class, and Thad Duvall right there, number 5 spot in our XC2 Pro Lights class. To wrap up the Mother's Day thing, you know, Johnny Girard talking about how much his mom does for him. Folks, walk around here at the races, walk around at any races anywhere. You know, moms are out there giving pit boards, you know, prepping bottles, working on bikes in a lot of cases. Heck, some of the moms are out there riding and racing themselves. So, you know, we have days to celebrate mom, and today is that day. Got to give them props. They're out there, hardest working women in motorsports, and they're making sure that the whole family stays together and get some good results on the racetrack.
Of course, the great thing about GNCC racing is it's a family sport. You know, it's a lot of time and effort and money, and there's a lot of risk involved. No one wants to see their kid get hurt, but it's a family atmosphere that I think everyone grows to love. You get to spend all weekend with your family, and what more does a parent want?
Well, you know, Ben, from your perspective, I know your mom very active in your racing, always out there with the bottles, always there for the pit stops. You know, is she asking you, hey, Ben, when are we going back racing? I know she hasn't been at the races since you've not been competing, but I'm sure your parents and especially mom are stoked and ready to come back to the races here soon.
Yeah, they miss it, but they check in on the weekend. They know what's going on, but they're getting to spend the time back home with my sister and my 2 nephews now, so they're making the most of everything.
There you go. Craig DeLong out front, still looking like he's got that almost special test speed right now. Sprinting, trying to open up the gap. 19 seconds is what it was when they checked in at the completion of lap number 2. And looking like it may have stabilized there or possibly even grown a little bit. We look ahead now to the 3 mile marker here at the Monster Mile. We see some of our B-class riders come through, denoted by those yellow number plates. But here comes the big red number plate, the number 1 that of Craig DeLong. These guys taking a look over their shoulder saying, were those the other cars? Don't realize how fast these guys come up on you, but absolutely shredding out there. We'll look back and see just how far back it is to the 969 of Johnny Girard. Mikey, you made the mention yesterday, the Monster Energy can pouring out a little bit out. Yeah, pouring it out for the homies, give a little energy.
The baby mamas today.
Might be something these guys are looking for late into this 3-hour race. About an hour and 7 minutes into this one, here comes Johnny Girard, and still hot on his heels. Oh, look at that. It looks like Jordan Ashburn has made the pass around Ryder Lafferty, and Mike Witkowski starting to put pressure on Lafferty now as well.
Freight train XC1 boys right there.
shout out to Trevor Bollinger there in the number 6 spot. I believe this, so far, his best ride here in the 2024 season thus far. Josh Drang sitting there in the 7th place spot, and then the Grizzly Grant in 8th, Evan Smith 9th. And there is what we think is still your overall leader, Grant Davis, leading that XC2 class, and that corrected time has about a 5-second gap on Craig DeLong for the overall lead.
Could be more reason why Craig is out front sprinting. You never know on the pit boards. It could say XC2 leading overall, so he could be charging.
It seems sometimes it's later in the race that they pass those messages along, but I guess it could also be a thing where, you know, if maybe the crews, the mechanics, and the team managers are thinking, hey, like, looks like there's a little more pace in this racetrack. There's Dakota DeVore, one of our XC3 riders coming through, won our last round just 2 weeks ago in Indiana, an Ohio boy, so surely he'll be looking to make a statement here today in that FMF XC3 class. You know, maybe they're seeing, hey, we think there's a little more pace in this racetrack, trying to prod Craig along, or maybe this is all him, just all on his own, like we talked about. Hey, I'm the defending champ. I want to make a statement. Here we go. Mile marker number 4. We're waiting. We'll watch. Looking for that big red number 1 of Craig DeLong out front leading the way.
You mentioned Craig is a rider that's really smooth on the throttle. Another thing to mention is also he rides really neutral on the bike. So something like that is also going to help on a slick track like today. When you keep your weight neutral versus over the front or the back, your tires are less likely to slide out to the side. Well, another thing that's going to work into his favor.
I don't know if you really noticed, but Craig isn't the largest guy out there. He gets mad because I make fun of his legs all the time. But, you know, when you say he rides neutral, that's about as far forward as back as he can reach.
Yes, but something like that is going to work to his advantage on a track like this, where a taller rider, yes, you could put more weight on the front or the rear, but you also have to be careful. You can't exaggerate those movements because it'll come back to bite you. Ben, so that's what I said. You know, it doesn't matter
how. You're exactly right.
It doesn't matter how tall you are.
I have to get my dig in on Craig because we talked about.
I don't know that we've ever had a broadcast where we didn't. One of us, more than you than me, take a jab at his height.
He talks about it himself.
And I'm a short guy.
He knows. He's the shortest guy in the class. He can barely reach his own foot pegs. He can't put his own bike on the stand. He has to have a step stool in the camper to be able to get things out of the top cabinet.
Oh my goodness.
But that said, right now, leading the way here and riding very, very well.
He's riding like a grown man. Okay.
Wow, that was
just throwing that. No, all right. Now that's where we draw the line.
That was way too. He is a grown man. He's a big boy.
Hey, if you're on the center of the podium, you'll be the tallest man.
Darn right, man.
That's right. Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
All in good fun.
No, yeah, you're right. In all reality, like, you know, stoked to see Craig doing this. You could see the frustration in him those first few rounds. Some things kind of out of his control, just as wild one-off situations. And we saw the resurgence of him last round. And
we have a pass for second place. Looked like Jordan Ashburn made the way past Johnny Girard.
There you go, Jordan Ashburn. Now, I noticed a couple camera shots ago, he seemed like he was really looking racy. He was almost rubbing the rear tire of Ryder Lafferty. Now he made that pass, and not only that pass, but also got around Johnny Girard as well. So Jordan Ashburn, it sounds redundant to say, but another rider, great throttle control. Rides a gear high, doesn't really rev the bike, does a lot of even hard enduro riding, even competed in the TKO several times, which is very, very slick conditions. So all these guys have great experience in these conditions, but some just seem to shine a little bit above the rest.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw Johnny Girard was in second there, and he wasn't really making any time up on Craig. So now that Jordan got by, maybe that's a good thing. He can latch onto the wheel of Jordan and see if Jordan has what it takes to start closing up the gap to the leader, Craig.
Yeah, Jordan's another one of those guys. We go back to Tennessee. He had that second place finish. That was kind of that heartbreaker. You know, you can kind of tell by the body language. Jordan, usually not a guy to show a whole lot of emotion post-race. He wanted that one. I think he felt like it kind of got away from him there. So you just cannot count out Jordan Ashburn at this point. Still sitting third in the point standings as well. So having a solid year.
There's we go.
Craig.
Back to our leader on screen. You can see how early he's checking up for that, making sure he can get that bike pointed to the correct route. I mean, just so slippery down through that section of racetrack. Saw a couple big bottlenecks in this section yesterday with the ATVs. Bike's able to access some more lines, and obviously it has dried out a bit. But as we pointed out earlier, the sun really cannot get down into the woods here. The foliage in full bloom, just not allowing the wind and the sun to get down in there and really dry out this slick Ohio clay.
Yeah, you're really going to have to keep your momentum up in these sections where you get this deep rut and you're stuck on that hard pack stuff. Keep your momentum going at the bottom of the hill to carry you up to the top.
There you go. So it is still Ashburn then it's Girard, then Lafferty and Wachowski. So that is your top 5 riders checked in. And look at this Bollinger seeming like he might even be starting to close that gap up a little bit. Hasn't quite gotten to the rear wheel of those guys, but he can definitely see him in the longer section. And now Strang starting to put some pressure on the riders in front of him, and Evan Smith coming along with him. There is Grant Davis on the 922, your XC2 leader, and as they ran, the overall leader.
Another thing to mention, you asked about the XC2 guys being up front in the beginning, but not at the end. You know, being on the smaller CC bike, the 250, you have to ride a little more aggressively. So something like that will wear you out a little bit more, where these guys on 350s and 450s can use the motor to their advantage.
Ben, looking back while we wait and watch for Stu Baylor, who is coming by, here is right now. Do you think the word has gotten to the leaders that Stu is a little further back? Do you think, you know, those guys are kind of getting that, or is it just let them race as it goes right now?
I don't think they should mention that, the fact that Stu's not up there. You know, for a guy like Johnny G who's battling for the championship, he needs to just worry about trying to win the race. Doesn't really matter where Stu's at.
And look at that. We saw a big head shake and near crash from Thad Duvall, who's running 5th in our XC2 class. That was our top 5 coming through there in XC2. Craig DeLong out front leading this one. Earlier in the race did have heavy pressure from his teammate, actually Ryder Lafferty, who led lap number 1. Craig's starting to open up a gap now, and a big battle behind him. The Coastal Racing Gas teammates of Jordan Ashburn and Ryder Lafferty both sitting there in podium or near podium positions. It's been a great day so far for the Coastal Racing Gas guys. We'll find out if they can hang on to it. Johnny Girard and all the rest mixing it up. We'll have all the racing action live on Racer TV. Stay tuned in with us and don't miss a minute of it.
Shout out to my mom. Happy Mother's Day. Hope all is well. I don't get to see as much, you know, because I'm out traveling to these races, but happy Mother's Day and hope all is well.
Yeah, my wife especially for helping raise the twin tornadoes, we call them, Jet and Ella. Yeah, happy Mother's Day to her, and my mom, of course, for being there and through all the years and getting me to all the races and helping make this happen. And my grandma, she usually watches all the races, and happy Mother's Day to everybody.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
And 2 laps. Let's go racing. Full contact. Look at that lead. Down to the inside. Jet Lord still on top. Oh, the podium here. I don't think any atmosphere can match it. Nothing quite like Pro Motocross. Welcome back to Live TV. This is life with Live TV. Welcome back to GNCC Live here on Racer TV. Mikey Wayne's here alongside Johnny Gallagher and the Ben Kelly still in studio with us. We've got Zach Herron out and about as well as Jackson Burrell. But, boy, it's been a great race day so far. Craig DeLong, this is kind of the re-emergence. Is that a word? I don't think that's a word. There's no way re-emergence is a word.
Resurgence.
Resurgence. Thank you, Johnny Gallagher. I need a thesaurus in here. But no, he's having a sensational ride leading this one out in front. And, boy, the Coastal Racing Gas guys having a heck of a day as well. We actually got to do a rig tour with the Coastal Racing Gas team.
Jordan Ashburn. We're here at the Coastal Racing Factory Gas Semi, and you guys want to come in and take a look. Here's my new e-bike. Sure helps getting on the track and being able to get out there and do a lap or so and look at all the gnarly sections and check the track out. Here's the big pretty number 3. Jameson's got her built up this weekend, and you know, we're ready to go. One of the preferences I like is I run these seat covers with the wings on them. I really like how you can hold on to the bike good. Takes a lot of stress off me as a rider and racer to know when I come to the track that the bike is, you know, top notch, 100% ready to go. And man, it's a lot of work. You know, I know what it's like to do everything yourself and try to train during the week and ride and get your bike ready and just try to keep everything together. It's a lot of maintenance and a lot of work, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here. Yeah, come on inside and we'll take a look inside the truck. Yeah, so come on up and we'll check out the lounge. Yeah, so this is the rider's lounge up here. Yeah, so now we're down here in the main part of the garage, and we got our coffee maker here. That's very important for the races, so gotta have the coffee. Up above the coffee maker here, we got the good items here. We got, you know, all the junk food drawers, got the cookies, the bread, don't forget about the Pringles. You gotta have the Pringles, and I'm not gonna say I won't eat some of it, but gotta kind of keep it to a minimum. Go over here and start going through some cabinets. We got a parts washer here. We can clean up everything from the track. So this is my cabinet here, and got all of our gear for the weekend. I think we got about 3 or 4 sets of gear in here, so we got a couple different options. Yeah, so now we're up in the top of the truck. We keep all the e-bikes up here. We store all the extra tires and wheels up here. We got all of our extra gears we carry up here. Yeah, and back here in the back, we got one of my practice bikes. We keep these here to race. That way, if we need anything off of it for the race or anything. Yeah, that's our truck. Thanks for coming. Yeah, we'll see you around at the races.
Very cool. Love those segments. Pretty cool to see the little behind the scenes there for the Coastal Racing Factory gas pits. I like it.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of what makes things tick on race weekends, and a lot of extra parts, a lot of moving parts with those teams, and keeping it all rolling on down the road from race to race. Definitely a lot of people behind the scenes there.
It's good for the spectators. You know, the cool thing about this type of racing is the pits are open to anybody. They can come walk up, talk to you guys, but rarely do they get to actually get inside the rig.
This guy was inside the rig earlier, but right now he's out front trying to pull a lead here on the rest of the XC1 field, and also the charging XC2 riders of Grant Davis, and not that far back as Angus Reardon, and actually Liam Draper has actually gotten around now in the number 2 spot on our last camera shot. But at the 10-mile marker, coming near the completion of lap number 3, and also approaching the halfway mark of this race at an hour and a half in, it is still Craig DeLong physically leading the way, and Jordan Ashburn still now in that number 2 spot, not really able to open up much over Johnny Gerard, and Ryder Lafferty still hanging tough there in the number 4 spot. I think the rider we saw behind there, is it? Still, it is the 282 of Mike Witkowski in 5th. And man, just another race weekend, another running in the top 5 for Mike Witkowski, really starting to become a regular here.
Yeah, Witkowski, yeah, like you said, having a good season. There goes, that was Trevor Bollinger, I believe. And there's the Grizzly, Grant Baylor. And
2-1-2,
like,
Mike check.
Zach Heron standing by at the FMF PowerPoint.
Hey guys, yep, I'm down here, the FMF PowerPoint. You guys may not be able to see, Caleb Russell is at the bottom of this hill. Here comes Craig DeLong. These guys are going to be splitting me coming up the left and the right. They're getting instruction from the GOAT himself, Caleb Russell. Whatever Caleb tells you to do, you follow. We got mud fleas lining both sides of us. If they get stuck, don't worry, guys. They're going to help you out. So we just saw Craig DeLong go by. We're going to wait and see where the rest of the XC1's at. To the left of right, I mean, we've got 2 main lines right here, but a huge hole just behind our camera operator where people get stuck. Looks like here comes Jordan Ashburn, now sitting in 2nd with Johnny Gerard hot on his heels. You saw Ashburn getting hung up just a little bit. There's Ryder Lafferty behind him, and here comes Mike Wachowski as well. So you can see multiple viable lines, and of course the GNCC fans having a great time. This is what it's all about. There goes Trevor Bollinger making some moves as well. Look at that, Grant Baylor getting a little sketchy there. Camera operator got nervous. It's all right, we're having a good time. Here comes another one of the KTM riders. There is Grant Davis. Wow, look at how much room he has made up already. We talked about it yesterday. This is a make-or-break opportunity, and they're making the most of it right now. We're going to send it back to you guys. I'm not going anywhere. This is the place to be here at the Powerline Park.
Thanks for that update there, Zach. And also, we did get to see just off camera there, we saw Johnny Gerard make the pass back to the number 2 spot. Jordan Ashburn just kind of spinning a little bit, not able to get some grip in that left line. Johnny Gerard getting a much better drive up that right-hand line, making the pass and back into the number 2 spot, but still needing to chase after the number 1 factory Rockstar Husqvarna of Craig DeLong, who's been leading this one now for coming up on 2 laps. And we're going to be now 3 laps complete. 1 hour and a half into racing, looking like what I'm assuming, going out on a limb, 6-lap race should be. We don't have the official word yet, but I'm sure we'll get it here soon. And Craig DeLong just charging, continuing to, what was that? And there was Johnny Gerard in the number 2 spot. It is still Jordan Ashburn in 3rd, Ryder Lafferty in 4th. We push ahead to this other camera, or the other side here from our Yamaha Racing Live drone, awaiting the number 1 of Craig DeLong to come back out onto the power line. And that's actually Johnny Gerard, so I think Craig DeLong may have already gone through here. And then Ashburn, Ryder Lafferty, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Mike Wachowski. You can see those ruts really starting to get deep, Ben Kelly. You know, this what started out as very, very slick this morning, now starting to tack up, but also just the repeated running through of the bikes each lap. It seems like the ruts are just getting deeper and deeper.
Definitely, it looked like Ryder Lafferty hung up the foot pegs a little bit, kind of getting sent over the front, but I'm sure that's something that's happened numerous times a lap. We mentioned the change in dirt here. Parts are going to be hard packed, parts are going to be soft and squishy like that are going to rut up. You see the woods where the sun's not shining on the dirt, staying wet.
Was Jordan Ashburn with 1 foot off the pegs there. A rider that definitely has we talked about the difference in height, some of these riders. Johnny Gerard in 2nd, a taller rider, Jordan Ashburn, Ryder Lafferty, both on the taller side of things, and Craig DeLong out front much shorter. Right now, it seems to be kind of coming out in the wash, no advantage either way, except Craig DeLong starting to build a time advantage. 19 seconds was the lead with 2 laps complete in XC1, but again, when you look at the overall time, he was, with the lap time of Tony, he was, I think we said it was right around 5 seconds is what Grant Davis had of a lead over Craig DeLong once you factor in the time correction, having started on row number 2 in that XC2 class. Still running in formation, starting to look like Johnny Gerard's opened up a bit of a gap over Jordan Ashburn. Ryder Lafferty still shadowing Ashburn, those Coastal Racing teammates. We got to see their rig, and now we're getting to see them do their talking on the track instead of off, and they are battling definitely in the same corner, and Mike Wachowski just sitting back there waiting his opportunity just off of the podium there in the number 5 spot.
Is it true, Ben Kelly, when you're out there on the track, there's nobody you want to beat more than the same guy under the same tent as you, or same rig?
Honestly, that's something I never really thought about until you guys brought it up, and I'm like, well, yeah, I guess makes sense as
don't say you guys. I don't believe that either.
Say you come back to the tent.
That's just because Johnny bleeds blue.
No, I've never seen that. Like I don't. Right. I think that's an F1 thing. I think in like other forms of motorsports, and I'm not saying there may not be cases where certain guys on the same team kind of have that animosity if they feel like they're battling for a ride for next year.
Animosity's right.
Well,
word,
but
just that kind of.
Yeah, no, and I'm not trying to take away from the hype behind it, but obviously all the years growing up racing as an amateur and as a professional, having teammates riding for the same group, the same team. I don't know. I never felt any extra pressure to beat those guys than I did anyone else.
Yeah.
Like when you go out, I think there were certain guys that I wanted to beat more than others, but it was never because they were my teammates. It was usually because of a former run-in or something they may have said about. This was back in the days before social media.
Yeah.
Now I think it's if somebody
when you actually had to man up and say it to their face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We would talk it out. Over the years had words with several, but always able to calm it and keep it professional once it was said.
All right, fair enough. Yesterday's probably a good example of that. Both ride for what Action Off-Road, Merritt and Wyatt, and they literally said on the track, fist bump, all right, let's go, buddy. Let's ride to the front. So, all right, fair enough. Listen, I'm trying to stir the pot. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, and I can, I only have one winning experience, so I'd like to go back and talk about it a lot.
It's totally fine. You have one more than me.
But I can tell you that day, Walker Fowler at that point, I think I wouldn't know that we were teammates. We both rode for Yamaha,
Sure.
and we had all the same sponsors, but we didn't technically ride for the same, air quotes, team. But I remember at the point that we were able to shake Adam McGill, he did the same thing, yelled at me, said, it's just me and you, buddy. It's me and you. So Craig DeLong, all alone, doesn't have anybody to yell, it's me and you, buddy. He's out there all alone trying to get himself to the finish line first ahead of these guys. But first, he's got to complete lap number 3. See what the gap is. A pretty smooth, quick pit stop in and out of that GBC Power Sports Tires pit stop area. Looking like everybody going to come in and take a stop. The 969 at Girard. Little pit stop miscue 2 weeks ago. Maybe too much too soon to talk about that, but it looks like these guys are on point today. They've got him smoothly in and out of the GBC Power Sports Tires pit stop area, and we'll see if he is able to hang on to that number 2 spot.
And it'll be a minute yet, but this would be a good opportunity for us to be able to see whether or not Stu stops for a pit. I saw Maggie Duvall out there, but did not see the other side of that Red Bear Racing Kawasaki pits.
There is Grant Baylor, the Grizzly, in and out of that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki pits. And Evan Smith coming in hot, man. Looking like they were all right together. And now Trevor Bollinger in and out of those Rockstar Husqvarna pits. Was sitting in the number 6 spot last we saw.
I'd guess at a race like this, we're an hour and a half in, halfway through, with 3 laps to go. I'm assuming it's going to be a 6-lap race, and it's kind of working out perfect. They're doing their I'd assume one pit stop halfway through.
So with what was a 19-second lead in that XC1 Pro class, Craig DeLong checking in now with 3 laps complete with a 29:26 lap time, a near identical lap time from the lap before as the computers update. Johnny Gerard has checked in with a 29:32, so about 6 seconds slower that lap, and that adds up. 25 seconds now is the gap. So all that work done, and only a measure of about 6 seconds change in the gap, but Craig DeLong able to stretch it out just ever so slightly.
Craig DeLong halfway there. Josh Strang checking in right there on the Sherco. Grant Baylor still in tow, that 314. There is Thad Duvall out of that XC2 class. In and out of the pits.
A little bit of a shakeup as they checked in with 3 laps complete. Mike Wachowski able to bump himself up into that 3rd place position in the overall, getting around both of the Coastal Racing gasses of Jordan Ashburn and Ryder Lafferty. Do not know if he pitted, but one would have to assume likely he did. It's looking like a one-stop strategy, and as close as he was, I don't think he could have pitted on lap 2 because they were all right together. So what's looking like, at least without having seen it on camera, a quick pit stop for that Phoenix Racing Honda team and gaining their rider 2 positions in the pits.
Solid start so far. Looked like Stu Baylor did check in there. Is he up in the, is it 12th OA?
Let's one more quick update here. Craig DeLong has wrestled the lead away from Grant Davis on corrected time. Grant Davis has checked in with a lap time of 29 minutes, 38 seconds. So Craig DeLong able to go 12 seconds faster than Grant Davis on that lap, meaning he now has a gap of about 7 seconds is what his lead is, as opposed to what was a 5-second deficit.
Man.
So very close racing up front. And as we look back down through with now 3 laps checked in, it is Stu Baylor Jr. in the 16th place overall position. So I think that's where he checked in last lap, actually.
I believe so. I think it's 16, 17 in that ballpark.
Around the same. And XC2 rider still checking in. So we don't know if he will stay there. Nick DeFeo from that 250A class. Gavin Simon from that 250A class. Jack Walker from the FMF XC3 class, the riders that were immediately behind him in the overall, along with Brody Johnson from that XC2 Pro Lights class. None of those guys have checked in yet, but at least for the time being, Stu Baylor sitting in that 16th place overall position, checked in now with 3 laps complete, showing that he is 19 seconds behind Lyndon Snodgrass, trying to work himself up 1 position in the overall to 15th, and another about, would be about another 8 seconds to Evan Smith, another 11 seconds, give or take, to Trevor Bollinger. So he's got some guys in front of him, but he's going to need to really get on the gas and make up those gaps to start gaining those points and those positions.
Very, very valuable points as well. We're watching our leaders just a moment ago on the Yamaha Racing live drone, and now we're up in the trees, but nonetheless, those guys still single file, just absolutely wheel to wheel. Maybe trying to force the guys in front of them into a mistake, make a pass here. But, boy, you got to feel good if you're Craig DeLong right now. You're halfway through, though. You still got to do this for another 90 minutes.
Yeah, he's been in this position before, though, so he just needs to think back to the last time he was out front, leading at the halfway point. You know, we've seen him go from whole shot to checkers, so
yeah,
this isn't new to him. It is very surprising to see Stu Baylor still back there in that 16th place position halfway through the race. You know, it's hard to tell. I'd almost feel like something's got to be going on, whether it's him or the bike.
Well, I was going to point out his last lap time of 29:38 was basically the same as what most of the guys, with the exception of Craig DeLong, are running there inside the top 5. So it's not that his lap time was really off. I think he lost that time on lap number 2, kind of stabilized the gap on lap number 3, but didn't really make anything up. I mean, again, if you look at his lap time of a 29:38, Craig DeLong running a 29:26, but second place overall Grant Davis 29:38, Johnny Gerard 29:32, 29:32, 29:32, 29:37. So he's basically running the same pace as second through 7th overall, but with the gap that he is behind, you know, close to 40 seconds, he's going to need to run faster than those guys to be able to gain those positions.
And he did say, spoke with him, Monster Energy pre-race report. He's got a few little lingering injuries. Didn't really elaborate on that. Didn't say how extensive it was. We know the man he's out there racing somewhere every weekend, hard enduros. So maybe that's affecting him. Don't know. Don't want to speculate too much. But obviously it sounds like Stu not 100%. But in the same breath, he said, you know, this is the time of year that Epstein-Barr always comes and just kicks me right in the butt. It seems like it comes around every time this year. He said, I feel fine this season. It doesn't seem to be affecting me at all. Maybe that's not the case halfway through this race. Only time's going to tell.
There is your leader on screen, Craig DeLong, coming through on that Yamaha Racing live drone. And to that, Mikey Waynes, you know, we've got Stu Baylor. Looking back, if you remember, deep in lap number 1, we were kind of seeing those camera shots, and he was working his way up. He was up, I don't think he was quite inside the top 5, but he was like 6, 7. And then the next time we saw him, he was all the way back, essentially last in that XC1 Pro class. So, I don't know that would be something like a lingering injury. I do think, again, speculation, 100%.
Sure.
Have no data to back this up. Right. Something happened to Stu on the race course that caused him to lose some time, whether it was a him issue, a bike issue, getting stuck in a rut, whatever it may have been. And it looks like right now he is, again, running a good pace, equivalent to everybody on the track with the exception of Craig DeLong, and only a few seconds off him at that. But, again, he's going to have to make up that time that he lost. And look at this, Mike Witkowski looking really racy and starting to put pressure on Johnny Gerard, trying to wrestle away that number 2 spot.
Yeah, at this point, this is something we're going to have to just get used to. Mike Witkowski running at the front of the pack the last few races. He's been right here from the start, and he's not fading.
Yeah, it's a good point by you, Ben. I like that. You know, Mike Witkowski, real deal, man, and he's been putting in the work this season, and it is showing in the results and that race pace he's got with the front runners. Just a matter of this. And that's something you can probably talk to certainly better than I can, Ben, is it's one thing, okay, I got a top 5. I feel good about that. Now what do I have to do to take it to that next level to be not just a top 5 guy, but a guy that's flirting with and getting podiums?
I think he just needs to stick to the program, honestly, and the longer you stick with it, the more it's going to pay off.
Craig DeLong moving through the Monster Mile right there and just still riding so well. A little sense of urgency there by DeLong. Do you think that the halfway point, have they let him know how close Grant Davis is on that adjusted time yet, or is he just doing his Craig thing right now?
Yeah, it's hard to say. We'd have to get his team manager in the booth here to ask him.
Fair.
See what they're writing on the pit boards.
Yeah, he looks good, though. It looks like he's very confident, really pushing the pace, and looking like, again, like he doesn't really want to have to battle these guys. He wants to stay out of their sight, stay out of their striking distance, if you will, and he's doing a great job of it so far. But the man behind him we know very dangerous, Johnny Gerard, and again, the 282 of Witkowski and the 336 of Ryder Lafferty, who now, wow, where did I miss Jordan Ashburn in that shot? I did not see Ashburn come through there. Could have been just off the back there, but no. So that is, yep, there is Gerard. Just behind him is the 282 Witkowski, and then Ryder Lafferty starting to put a push in now and looking like he's the one putting the pressure on. So it's almost like these guys just taking turns, trading blows. It's like one guy takes a shot, the next guy comes back after him. Just when you think you figured out who is the fastest in this group, you know, a lap ago we were talking about Jordan Ashburn just kind of blowing all these guys' doors off in about a mile, going by all of them and starting opening up a gap. Now, unless Jordan is out front of this group, which I don't believe he is, looks like he's actually lost the toe. And now it's these three that are taking turns pushing the pace and trying to close that gap to Craig DeLong.
Trying to get up in the fight, trying to they watched the race yesterday, Johnny. They know how wild that one was.
I don't even know what was going on out there. It was, every time we turned around, there was another bottleneck and there was another rider that we did not expect up front. But the one thing, the Josh Merritt train just kept on rolling all day long, getting that whole shot, keeping himself near the front, and ultimately crossing the finish line first for his first win. And, man, super proud of that guy. Awesome day for him.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very good day. DeLong trying to have a similar ride here today, grabbing the whole shot and trying to capture what would be his first win of the season. And Craig really, you know, last week or 2 weeks ago in Indiana, we were talking about, hey, Craig looks like the guy that won the championship last season. Fast forward to today, he absolutely looks like the man that won the national championship last year.
Well, and I think one thing worth noting, we're now 1 hour, 40 minutes into this. Craig DeLong was right there for 2 hours 2 weeks ago at the Hoosier, and he himself said, hey, it's been a while since I've kind of run that pace, that intensity up front like that. He said, I found myself once Johnny and Stu kept pushing, I just didn't quite have it. He said, I was super comfortable riding behind Stu until all of a sudden I wasn't. He said, and he didn't really say that it was a fitness thing. It could have just been, you know, Ben, you could speak to that better than anybody. It's just kind of a different level of intensity that it takes up there. And when you haven't done it for a while, it probably can wear you out.
Yeah, I think it's the mental fatigue that sets in. You know, when you're going faster, you're just reading the train. It's coming at you quicker, and that wears you down more than you think. So it could be something as simple as that. And might just take him a little bit, but at this point it's looking like it's only taken him 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. And also I think there's also, you know, we've talked about the results breed confidence, confidence breed results. You know, he knows now, hey, I'm back, I'm feeling good. I just need to get that last hour figured out, is the way he felt leaving 2 weeks ago. You know, you got 2 weeks to kind of marinate on that, think about it, go home, work, and just let that confidence seep into your psyche, how you approach the race. And I tell you what, the Craig DeLong that we've seen throughout the entirety of this 1 hour, 40-minute race so far is a guy that does not look like he has any questions about whether or not he's ready to go. It's just questions of, hey, are these guys going to be able to hang with me? And right now, the answer is no.
No, they cannot. Not right now, anyways. As we saw that time gap.
Yeah, so no Jordan Ashburn. So it is, in fact, Johnny Gerard there in the number 2 spot.
Mike Witkowski, Ryder Lafferty, still the top 4.
And no cause for alarm. Oh, look at this, Josh Strang. I was going to say no cause for alarm because here comes Jordan Ashburn, but it's actually Strang and Baylor.
And those two seem to be making up time.
Yeah, and Josh Strang, I spoke with him just for a moment before the race and said, you know, how are things feeling with the new bike? There's Jordan Ashburn, so he has lost 2 positions and actually has some pressure from behind now from Trevor Bollinger. Then it's Evan Smith. Grant Davis. So he's still very close for that that overall time correction. 7 seconds is what he was behind when they checked in with 3 laps complete. Now working our way, approaching the halfway mark of lap number 4. Is
Lyndon Snodgrass,
yeah, because he didn't have a visor. He's going around like Bullet Head. Somehow knocked his visor off. And the next rider should be Stu Baylor. And there he is. Just behind him.
Gus Reardon.
Yep, and Liam Draper.
Stu didn't look to be favoring anything right there. Looked like normal Stu, yeah?
He did. I don't know. He kind of looked like he fumbled into that line a little bit. I mean, we're nitpicking here, but
a little notchy, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's incredibly slick out there, but sometimes it's just, you know how it is, Ben. If you just don't have the flow, it could be that there's nothing wrong, but it looked like when he kind of came in there, he was a little indecisive. Am I going to go left? Am I going to go right? He kind of ended up in a middle line, kind of fell into that, not fell, but like dropped into that thick, heavy mud, and just looked like he just wasn't himself, wasn't really, you know, Stu, when he gets a flow going, his charge is unmistakable. I mean, and we may see that here in just a matter of moments, but right there just didn't kind of look like he was feeling it.
So the woes continue for Stu Baylor here today. See if he can get it sorted out. Got about an hour and 15 to figure this thing out as we are watching from the Monster mile marker number 4. Craig DeLong, the number 1 Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, having a pretty sensational ride here today and has not been challenged yet, but we have got plenty of racing left here at the Kenda Powerline Park GNCC. We're going to take a short break and get in a word from our sponsors. Outside of Craig DeLong, absolutely nothing sorted out. We're going back and forth with just about everybody. How is it all going to shake down? We'll be right back after this.
Happy Mother's Day to my wife. She looks after our 2 boys, Maverick and Tucker, and without her, I'll be lost. Then my mum in Australia, I don't know if Mother's Day is different in Australia or not. I probably should know this by now. But anyway, regardless, happy Mother's Day, Mum.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Holly. Thanks for everything you done for me, and thanks for getting me to where I am now.
Gotta say happy Mother's Day to my mom. Thank you so much. I love you. You've been supported me my whole life, way more than probably any mom should have to. So, thanks for doing everything you do and continuing to do that.
Yeah, I gotta say happy Mother's Day to my mom. She's always been supportive and helpful through this whole dream that's kind of become true. She's my mom and dad, but yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, Mother's Day. I don't even know what day it is in Australia. That's pretty bad, but it could be the same day. But yeah, shout out to Mum for Mother's Day. But yeah.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live. Here, Mikey Waynes, Johnny Gallagher, Ben Kelly in the booth. We are rolling right through this Kenda Powerline Park GNCC. And it's a good move right there. But again, Craig DeLong doing his thing out front, having a great race here today. Speaking of great racing, we kick things off this weekend on Friday night with the EMTB race. And I think we're going to take a look at some of those highlights from Friday night. It was round number 2 of their 2024 season. And I think we're going to take a look at those and go over our winners and highlight everything else that was going on the racetrack that day.
No breaks in the weather for these guys, you know.
Not at all.
Guys and gals. It seems like every time we go EMTB racing, or for that matter, we go racing in 2024, It just seems like the rain follows. It was clear conditions for the race itself, but very, very wet in the woods. Talon Hawk off to a quick start in that XC2 class, and only in search of what we knew was going to be very, very slick conditions, Mikey.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. As a matter of fact, even I believe it was Jared Bolton that did. Yeah, that's a perfect example of just how gnarly it was. Did the course description prior to the race. He apologized and he said, "Guys, I just hope at this point that we get some drier weather for you to race in." But I mean, this is a testament to what GNCC racing is about. It's not just any mountain bike race or e-bike race. This is GNCC's version, and you get your money's worth. I can promise you that.
Yeah, and Ben Ort got his money's worth out of the race. Besting Cypress Gorey, our defending 2023 champion, and really just putting on a display of prowess out there. He was just rock solid all day long. Cypress leading early, Ben able to wrestle it away. Town Hawk leading pretty much start to finish in that XC2 class. And Town Hawk and his dad Barry really had the pit stops dialed in. They were cleaning out the drivetrain. They were spraying WD-40 on everything to keep the mud from sticking to it. Cypress Gorey coming across the line, second place in the overall. Ashley Hendershot taking the lead in the WXC. And man, it was a battle out there. The conditions were absolutely brutal, but these guys and gals pushed through, making the most of it and having a lot of fun out there during our specialized PMTV race.
Yeah, absolute, a great race. I loved the look, the little side eye back there by Cypress Gorey in that 2 spot. He's like, okay, you get that champagne this week, I'm getting it next time. So love it. Got some great racing going on here on the track right now. Waiting on our leaders to check in through here. We expect to see the number 1 Rockstar Energy Husqvarna of Craig DeLong. And while we are waiting on our leaders, going to take a look and see the trajectory of our championship run. And you can kind of see it dialed out there between round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Johnny Gerard on the move, but not so quietly back there. You can see over the last couple of rounds, Stu Baylor making waves, and I think Stu is hoping that green line continues to go up by the end of the day today, but so far through an hour and a half of racing, may not be the case for Stu Baylor.
Yeah, it's today's a day he really needs to start doing damage control as we approach the 2-hour mark of this race. Sitting back in the 16th place position overall, he definitely has made up 18 points in 2 rounds, but needing to do exactly that again today, or at least stabilize what's looking like it could be a big points loss.
And Craig, another guy, I want to point him out. The white marker there, he may make a big jump here today. Taking a look at that Rocky Mountain ATV MC Red Bear Kawasaki pits. No signs of Stu in there. I think we're okay. But and I think our own Jackson Burrell is going to head down to the Red Bear Racing, Rocky Mountain ATV, Red Bear Racing Cowie pits to maybe get a word in with those guys and see if we can get the scoop on what's going on with Stu Baylor as we reset here again. Mile marker number 10, waiting on the number 1 of Craig DeLong to come in, or to check in right here so we can see him on TV as we welcome into the booth the rough and rowdy Ricky Russell as Craig DeLong pops on screen right here. Ricky, hey, welcome to the Racer TV broadcast booth, man. Like Ben, stoked to have you in here with us. Would much rather see you guys duking it out here on the track.
Yeah, no doubt. I would much rather be out there on the track. Much rather be out there on the track as well, but I'm just healing up. I know Ben's healing up too. I should be at Mount Morris, so that'll be good.
That was going to be the next question. We just saw, I believe, Johnny Gerard going through here. Ricky, you've been out there, out and about, man. What are you seeing out there on the track today?
It was really, really technical and gnarly and slick early on, but it looks like it's tacking up. There's still those places where it's really slick and slimy, but it's really tacking up and just rough and rutted, which is surprising for here because it's always hard pack and slick here, which you still got those hard pack slick sections, but the rough and the ruts are definitely more extreme.
Sounds like it would be like right up your alley then.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to throw salt in the wound. That was a very cruel comment of me to make. But man, what are you seeing as far as the riders, the running order right now with DeLong out in front? Grant Davis obviously having a day. Gerard, any big surprises for you as we watch Craig DeLong move up the FMF PowerPoint?
Yeah, no, I've been out there kind of pointing lines up the FMF PowerPoint and all over, but it was surprising. First lap, something happened with Stu. I don't know how he ended up so far back, but Grant was right on him already, and I said, oh, it's going to be a good day for Grant Davis because he's going to latch on to Stu, and Stu's going to go forward. And he definitely did, and look at him now. He's sitting second overall, and Stu's still working, so I don't know what exactly is going on there.
That's a very good point. I didn't even think of that perspective of, because of the struggles by Stu, if Stu makes the push, he's there, honestly, with any of those XC2 guys. The smart thing to do, and they do that to you guys all the time, is link up with one of the XC1 guys and try to get pulled to the front.
Yeah, it was like second lap, and he was right there, and then the end of second, Stu was back with the group, and Grant Davis was right there in the group with them, too.
Ashburn still getting all the smoke there from Trevor Bollinger, Evan Smith, and I believe that was the 922 of Grant Davis, still right there hanging with those boys.
Yeah, then we're waiting on Stu. We've been speculating possibly a few things, a few issues with him as we have Snodgrass coming through.
No visor.
Yeah, have you guys heard? I haven't heard anything.
We haven't. Jackson Burrell's actually, I think, on his way over there to the pits right now to see if he can get some information on that. Okay, so we've heard that Stu had a pretty gnarly crash. Bike's a little banged up, but he is, I guess, making the best of it right now.
Yeah, Stu's a really gritty rider. He's never going to give up, as we have Liam Draper coming through now. But, yeah, I guess that explains a little bit, as we saw when he's coming through. He's not riding like himself, not as much flow, getting a little notchy, a little caught up. Thad Duvall.
I didn't see, did you guys see Gus?
Boy, good question.
Here we have Gus now.
So
well, there you go, on cue.
Liam looks to be moved up to second now.
Yeah, Thad in third, and then Gus dropped back to fourth. And then here we have Stu finally coming through.
Old dab right there. Couple. Doggy paddling. Yeah, I think now that we know, maybe a little mechanical or the bike banged up a bit. How much does that... Take turns answering, whoever wants to go first. How much does that affect you? When the bike is banged up, it's not running exactly how you want it to. How do you kind of get that out of your mind and just focus in and say, I still got to go to work?
Ricky, you want to take this one?
It's tough, but you just know it's a long race and you got to get through. So you just push, and if stuff's banged up, it depends on how bad.
Sure.
He could be hurting too. Something could be hurting on his body as well. Who knows? You only see bits and pieces here, but a lot goes on the track that you don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be hurting as well, but it depends on how bad the bike is. You just got to try to push forward. That's all we ever do.
Yeah, we'll have to try to get a word with him at the end of the race and get his point of view, but for sure his body could be hurting. His bike he could be just limping the bike along, doing the best he can, but he's in it for the championship, so he just needs to try to tough it out, get as many points as he possibly can, and then he can regroup at the end.
Does points salvage mode, is that something that actually goes on in a pro rider's mind in this kind of situation? I've never liked that term, points salvage. I'm like, you race to win, right? You race to be successful. Nobody's out there because they're like, I need to make sure I score 1 point today. That's not the goal. But is that in your head of like, I got to make sure I at least get that top 20?
Yeah, I think most likely, especially in Stu's case, being in the championship. When you're in the championship hunt, you're definitely like, I got to salvage as much points as I can.
Okay.
Every position's more points. So you're trying to do as best you can and make up as many points.
Click them off. And you've got these pesky XC2 kids that are just absolutely hauling the mail this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things that's going to be frustrating for Stu, as this isn't the first race of the year where an XC2 guy has beat him and he's lost some points to them guys in the overall, and that's bittersweet.
Yeah, I go back to was it Florida? I believe Grant Davis got that second, and you could legitimately see it watching a great battle, or our leaders, I guess, Yamaha Racing Live Drone. But you could kind of see the body language in Stu of like, man, I'm stoked for you, Grant. Great job out there. And then that immediately, that face washed out, and it was, son of a gun, I just lost some points to this young whippersnapper. He went into full-blown like race manager mode of, why didn't anybody tell me this?
Of course, and more than anything, it's your pride gets hurt a little bit when you got these young kids coming up and beating you. Looks like Johnny Gerard on screen here, kind of in no man's land at this point. Looks like he's been able to pull away a little bit from Mike Wachowski, Ryder Lafferty, and that trailing pack.
Mikey and Ryder really having a good ride. Ryder coming off of a few bad rounds, and he was looking up front and looking racy, so that was cool to see. Mikey's just been consistently getting better and better since he moved into XC1.
Yeah, that was like a pleasant surprise, at least from my perspective, because, you know, no secret, Mike Wachowski had his struggles in the XC2, and there was, I think, a lot of questions when he entered that XC1 class. Man, where does he stack up against all of you guys? And, man, he's holding his own.
Johnny's smacking on his hand guard or something.
Okay. So getting an update for you, and it sounds like we got a word in with Jade, Stu's wife. She said, well, I think you guys may know more than we do. So obviously not entire speculation, but maybe somebody, I think, saw him out there wad up. So a little bit, not a lot of speculation, but a little bit of speculation. I guess that's what we're paid to do. But
I think that's the
we'll
problem
see.
with the rumor mill.
That's 100%
it's like the game
right.
of telephone. Someone sees one thing, and it might not even been Stu. Maybe it was a B rider. But yeah, word travels fast, and people like to stir the pot.
That's exactly
and have
it.
Drama.
So we'll see. We'll know from the horse's mouth eventually on this. But you got to think, just knowing the kind of competitor that Stu is, something's certainly not right with either him or the machine, or a combination of the two. But you can also count on the fact that with an hour left in this race, in what will be a 6-lap race, the man's not going to give up. There is no doubt about that.
No, and I can see now Mike Wachowski is not too far off the back wheel of Johnny.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to latch on, I'm sure, and go with him as long as he can.
Yeah, you mentioned, Ricky, that he's been consistent top 5 guy these last few rounds, and now he's trying to work up to that podium, and right now sit in 3rd place, depending on Grant Davis with the adjusted time, but sit in 3rd place, and I know he wants to have a solid finish. I'm sure there were times where he was struggling moving up to XC1, but it's finally coming into his own.
It's always a learning curve, and a lot of people kind of take it for granted, getting overalls in XC2, and then they jump in XC1, and they're like, holy crap, it's just a little different.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was talking about that today on the ATV side. I was talking, and I don't want to throw my Indiana family under the bus. 2-lap card is out. Leaders have checked in now, 4 laps in to what will be a 6-lap race. DeLong, your leader, still out in front. What do we look at on lap times? 29:30.
Yeah, it looks like Johnny Gerard's lap time was just 2 seconds slower than Craig, so they're still kind of sitting with the same lap times, and the gaps are kind of staying the same.
But back to the point about that jump from XC2 to XC1, when my fellow Hoosier, Austin Abney, made the jump from XC2 to XC1, first few rounds, everybody was like, why isn't he getting podiums? Why isn't he winning? And I'm like, you guys have to understand, the jump from XC2 to XC1 is enormous. These are the greatest guys in the country, and they're not new to it. They've not been doing it for a couple of years. You guys have been doing it for several years, so they think that I guess skill gap is pretty significant, and I think both of you guys could probably speak to that.
Yeah, no, for sure. You got those 3 or 4 XC2 guys that are really, really good. For the XC1, it's really everyone on the line is a proven rider, so they're all, you could be battling for 6 podium at the last round.
So Stu into the pits right there.
Quick splash.
We're not working on the machine, but I think obviously some words exchanged there of something's going on, right?
I would assume. Looked like he was saying something to his dad there, but he's still moving forward, still going. Like I said, he's a gritty guy. He's going to gut it out, do everything he can.
Grant Baylor looked like he had the fastest lap time, didn't he?
Oh, so still after 4, Craig.
Grant
Davis still in that 2
second
spot.
Overall.
By 10 seconds. 10 seconds the difference. So Grant within striking distance of that podium. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah, he's another guy who's been building tons of confidence. You know, last year he had some good results, but struggled with injuries the majority of the year. Was kind of coming into his own there at the end, and I think he's just a little more confident with the bike now, the program, and just learning the speed. And he's obviously figuring it out.
Yeah, it seemed like Florida, his real confidence boost.
Oh, yeah.
He got that 2nd overall, and he said he was just riding with Josh Toth all day and kind of just learning. And now, I mean, Josh Toth knows the wheels. He's been around, so he learned a lot there, and he really took that confidence and just keeps snowballing it and moving forward.
Yeah, especially a race like Florida, one of the toughest ones on the circuit. You know, kind of like he's becoming a man at that race. And
It was a rite of
No
passage.
doubt.
You're not wrong. Absolutely. And you guys know what that does for you as well. You get some podiums. I don't care what class you're in. You get some top threes under your belt. You start really believing in yourself, like, okay, I can do this. Now I got to do it on a consistent basis, let alone those class wins.
There's Craig.
Through at mile 1. Still jumping across the little road there. Feeling good, feeling the flow, and still looking aggressive.
Yeah, Craig threw it back to what he was doing last year, looking very good today. And he's that podium confidence, right? Coming off that second place finish in Indiana. Kind of gets things turned around when it was certainly not going his way early in this season, and showing it, really putting it on display here today that says, hey, the number 1 plate on the front, I earned that. It wasn't a fluke. I'm the man. I'm still here.
Yeah, he's definitely got a little cushion on Johnny here, and he's moving. I thought Indiana really looked like his old self. He was riding like he did when he got the championship. So, maybe, yeah, definitely taking that momentum and then putting it forward here. Uh-oh.
Jordan Ashburn in the pits. Looks like they're working on his bike. As he's talking to his wife there, explaining a little something.
Jordan with the hands on the hips. Maybe, I don't know if Jackson Burrell still down in the pro pits. If you can swing by the Coastal Racing gas pits.
It looks like they're possibly bleeding the clutch. You got one guy up top messing with it and one guy down low. We saw him up front there early, and then all of a sudden something happened and he dropped back and kind of slowly faded back, so maybe he was having clutch issues.
Yeah. So a major bummer for Jordan Ashburn,
who's 3rd overall in the points and has been super consistent.
Yeah, he's coming off that, 4th place finish. And, man, now you play out the scenario as far as the points are concerned. With Grant Davis riding the way he is, Grant Davis could be 3rd place in the points standings after today. Got a lot of racing left, but nonetheless, that's got to feel pretty good.
Oh, yeah, when you can be a top finishing overall guy from the XC2 class, it makes the transition to XC1 a lot better.
Yeah, it makes sense. So Jordan, hey, helmet's still on. Jordan, I think, every intention to get back out on the racetrack. What goes through your mind in this situation? This is like certainly not ideal at all. Seconds like minutes, minutes like hours. You just kind of have to trust your team at this point, right?
Yeah, it's motorsports racing. I feel like we say it all the time. Things happen. People crash. There are part malfunctions, all sorts of stuff. You know, you're out there in the woods on these ever so changing conditions for 3 hours, and you're pushing the limit because a guy like Jordan, you know, he's trying to win. So things happen in and out of your control. You just got to make the most of it.
Yeah, chill. Whatever. Happy Mother's Day, Mary. You're like, this is the unsung heroes of racing. That's a perfect example right there of, hey, let me come over here, talk with my man, cool him down a little bit, and now the water pack's coming off.
I think the master cylinder or something has gone out because it doesn't seem like they're getting anywhere, but they're trying. Might have to replace the whole system, which by then he'll be losing quite a bit of time.
Yeah, situation like that, 4 laps into a 6-lap race.
Yeah.
Approaching that situation where he's not going to be able to score any points today.
Yeah, that's a spot where, you know, you never want to give up, but if you're too far out of the points-paying position, sometimes it's best to just pack it in, save yourself, and wait for the next round in 2 weeks. It's Craig DeLong still leading the way, coming through mile marker 3.
Scooting through the Monster Mile right there. Just saw Craig. Let's see where Johnny Gerard is at in that 2 position in the XC1. He's 3rd as far as the overall is concerned, with Grant Davis on the adjusted time, besting him so far. And DeLong with some breathing room. What was the, as they're still working on Ashburn's machine. Let's see, back to Gerard. It was, what, 27.5 seconds? Jordan Ashburn throwing the goggles back on.
Yeah, I'd have to guess about 30 seconds back to Johnny. Johnny G in 2nd and Mike Bukowski in 3rd. As we have
Grant Baylor is rolling.
Grant Baylor on the charge.
Through. Yeah, he had the fastest lap last lap, but not by a lot, just a little. So he's, you know, Grant Baylor. Once he gets rolling, he's hard to stop in that last hour.
Oh, and it looks like Zach Heron down there.
Too late, guys. Looks like they've got the coastal race gas back up and running. We had Jordan for just a second. They're working on the clutch. I was just about to ask him what was going on. Doesn't matter. They've got it fixed. He's got some hydration. He's going to get back out on that coastal gas and try to catch back up.
All right, hey, thanks for that, Zach Herron down there in the pro pits. Mary, gave the thumbs up. Cool, calm, and collected. So Ashburn going to see what he can do, jump back on his Coastal Racing Factory gas, and see if he can't keep that machine up into the top 20. Going to be a tough task for him. Jordan's up for it. Mary, Mom believes in you. Make it happen.
The pits here are close to the finish, so a few more minutes we'll be able to update the live timing and scoring and see what position he's in.
Meanwhile, mile marker number 4, the Monster Energy Monster Mile. DeLong and Gerard still about a 30-second gap back to them. Wachowski. I was so busy watching the gas pits there, I never did see Wachowski, but I'm sure he came through.
Yeah, he was still right there on the rear wheel of Johnny G.
Okay. And Baylor, that's right, because you said Baylor was moving. Okay. I'm catching up. I'm getting old.
Yeah, as this lap goes on, I wouldn't be surprised to see Grant Baylor getting up to the rear wheel of Mike and Johnny.
Yeah, Grant Baylor is certainly not going to shy away from applying the pressure to Mike Wachowski and push the issue. Liam Draper and Ryder Lafferty having a pretty solid day, kind of quietly back there in 6th in the overall, but Ryder having a good day. I know, Ricky, you'd mentioned something about that. And then Liam Draper as well. The number 1 machine, 198 for the helmet scoring, having a solid day, sitting 7th overall. Thad, pretty good day as well, top 10, sitting in 8th, Strang 9th, and Trevor Bollinger having a good day in that top 10.
Craig DeLong now rolling through. Yeah, he just seems to be riding with a lot more flow today compared to the beginning of the season.
Yeah, flow and aggression. He just looks aggressive. He just looks like he's racing. Racing hard. But yeah, I was going to say, you were talking about Liam. He's had kind of a slow start this season, but he's been slowly getting better. And Grant kind of, like I said, got the latch on to Stu. But besides that, he's in 2nd place, and it looks like Thad's moved forward some, because early on Thad was a ways back.
Last time we were at this property in 2018, Thad got the overall, so he should have some confidence, even though that was a long time ago.
Old dab right there by Gerard, no problem.
And Mikey's right on him there, he's just latching on and hoping to be towed to a podium, I'm sure.
Yeah, looking good. Wachowski just not giving in, staying right with him. Good to be back in St. Clairsville, Ohio. As you guys mentioned, Thad was our last winner here in the XC1 Pro class at that time. But that's got to do something for you, returning to a track where you know you've had success, specifically a win. It's got to be like an extra confidence boost, right?
For sure. He's it's almost like not a local, but it's close for him, and he really likes the terrain, and I think that just brings confidence. Friends, family, everyone here, and he won here. I think he crashed in the first corner and he actually broke a bone and still came back to win the race. So pretty impressive. So yeah, he's definitely got confidence up here.
Moving through 4 laps completed. It's going to be a 6-lap race when it's all said and done. There is Craig DeLong, methodically coursing his way around our lap traffic. And we look back, and about 30 seconds, 35 seconds back, we should be seeing Johnny Gerard, Mike Wachowski, Grant Baylor, Grant Davis in the mix. But boy, some pretty big gaps, big gap back to 2nd place right now. DeLong has got to feel great. A good spot. So we're waiting. We're still waiting. Mile marker 5. That gap still holding true.
Here he comes. Still about 30 seconds back.
Mikey, and let's see how far back Grant is. He's right there. So he's coming, Grizzly.
Grizzly Grant. Takes him a minute to get warmed up. Once he does, he's got to be a terror late in the race, right?
I've raced him my whole career, and yeah, it's always been that way.
Just tough.
I can sometimes get far enough away early, and it doesn't work out for him. But if he's coming and he's up front that early, he's still got an hour or 45 minutes left, so he's going to be right in there, battling for probably second, honestly.
Grant Davis, just saw him moving through 7:39, and Trevor Bollinger just behind him. So Grant Davis still just having a day. Been able to sneak up there in the XC1. Well, you were, Ricky Russell, you were preaching the gospel of Grant Baylor and the success that he is having here today. Well, I guess the pressure he's applying to the guys in the XC1 right now. We actually had a chance to catch up with Grant Baylor and talk a little bit about some of the success he has had here at Powerline Park over the years.
I'm excited. I'm ready to go back to Powerline Park. I've always just done really well in Ohio. That for some reason that clay it suits me. I don't know if it's close to the red clay down here in South Carolina or what, but I've always done well there, and that's my first and only ever hole shot in XC1. So maybe I can get another hole shot this year. Who knows? But yeah, actually almost won that race last time we went there, and yeah, I got the hole shot, almost won the race. So I'm looking forward to going back. It's another one that's super technical. Got a lot of ups and downs, and just not your average track. So, and it's got a lot of hard pack blue group stuff, and that stuff seems to suit me well. I've always been one of those riders that's good at the throttle control side of things, and yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to Powerline. It'll be a good one.
Grant Baylor, man. There's a reason they call that man the Grizzly. Mercy sakes alive. Dude's got some locks. Why don't you guys grow your hair out? Huh? Come on, grow your big old beard.
I don't know how he does it. When mine gets long and shaggy, it just bothers me. Especially when it gets hot.
Too.
I know. I've been having a
rough
season, so it obviously wasn't working.
That's fair. I don't know. My wife hates it when I grow them. I grow a mustache out long enough to, for her to tell me to shave the damn thing, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, we are well underway now, 4 laps into what will be a 6-lap race. Get a short commercial break. Craig DeLong turning back the clock, looking like Craig DeLong of 2023 that won a national title. Can he hang on and grab his first win of the season? Can Grant Davis hang on for a P2 on the day? All that and more right after this.
I'd love to give a shout out to my wife and I knew her mom, now our racing mom, as we bought a motorcycle for our kid in Florida. Get him in diapers, and then he starts walking, and then a dirt bike. So now she's not just a mom, but a moto mom, but a huge shout out to her for all she has to put up with us in our racing.
Definitely got to give a shout out to my mom for Mother's Day, but yeah, and my grandmothers, of course, and Stuart's wife, Jade, shout out to her as well, the mother of my nephew. And I don't have any kids or plan on having any kids anytime soon, but yeah, so that's it for now.
When I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sort you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Ah, yee! Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to round number 7 here in beautiful St. Clairsville, Ohio, the Powerline Park. We've got some more upcoming broadcasts you guys are not going to want to miss. Just a few weeks from now, we're going to be out at the Mason-Dixon. We're going to be, of course, bringing live broadcasts on Saturday and Sunday, and then Snowshoe. I mean, who doesn't want to see Snowshoe? It's a party and a race breaks out, guys. You don't want to miss it, and we say it all the time. You guys can help us by going on to racertv.com or RacerTV on YouTube. All you got to do is click that subscribe button, all right? I know I sound like Mr. Beast and all these other influencers, but it truly does help us. And leave us a nice comment. Tell us how good we're doing. Or even if you have constructive criticism, just be kind to us, guys, all right? I do have feelings. Here we are in the Racer TV studios. Zach Herron alongside Ben Kelly and Johnny Gallagher. Hey,
I got shorter.
I was about to say, doesn't quite look the same.
Much slower on a dirt bike.
But, guys, I just got in off the track. I said I saw Stu Baylor. I'm solely speculating. Jade wasn't aware either, but the leg didn't look great. His left leg was kind of dangling off the side, and it sounds like he may be having some hydration stuff as well, as it looks like leader back on screen, Craig DeLong, looking good right now as he makes his way through the 10-mile mark. That is not one of the leaders coming through after that. But just going back to what we heard, it sounds like, Stu, hydration, not one of those things that you can correct in the moment. Obviously, preparation coming into the rounds is crucial. But what do you do at this point? If you're Stu and his entire crew, basically just try to get him to the finish?
Yeah, I actually asked his mechanic Blake was down here below the Racer TV studios. I wasn't even going down to ask questions, but as I approached, here is Johnny Gerard, the number 2 spot, and still hot on his heels, that 282 Phoenix Racing Honda of Mike Witkowski. Phenomenal ride for this guy, sitting in the 3rd place position. The best ride we've seen to date from him so far here in 2024. But as I walked up, he just said, hey, man, we don't have anything for you. We don't know what's going on. As far as we know, no crashes, nothing wrong with the bike. We don't know what's going on. And then I said, well, it looked like he said something to Jade and possibly his dad there in the pit stop. And he just said, yeah, he said he needs bottles, he's bonking, or something to that effect. Obviously, a lot of yelling, a lot of revving, but it sounds like maybe some hydration issues, maybe, just feeling a little under weather, but bonking was the word that was used to explain what's going on with Stu Baylor right now.
And you guys probably know much better than I do as far as when you get to that point. I believe you were saying it's almost like you start to fall asleep while you're riding. Obviously, adrenaline is spiked and your heart rate's going through the roof, but essentially the body's starting to run out of fuel.
Yeah, your eyes start to drop, and you just can't, you mentally cannot process the trail. And it's the type of thing that happens to cyclists all the time, and it's just fueling, trying to fuel right with your calories, getting some sugar in, and water, electrolytes, salt, all that type of stuff. And when you miss the mark, man, it can take its toll. And here we have Johnny G coming through.
Yeah, good run up that line there. You can see just how difficult those are getting there. Just absolutely struggling for traction, paddling their way up the FMF power point, and Mike Wachowski just behind him. Again, just a phenomenal ride so far here today for Wachowski. I'm sure all the Honda fans, all the Mike Wachowski fans, all the Indiana fans hoping he can close this one out and get what would be his first ever XC1 and overall podium here today.
Well, I definitely know that Grant Baylor, who we saw not too far behind him, does not want to let that happen. The Grizzly is feeling dangerous right now, headed towards the front. I know when he came by me on that FMF power point about a lap ago, he actually managed to get air off of something. I don't know. He came up the hill so fast. The crowd went wild. He is certainly on a charge.
Well, and we've talked about it before so many times. Haven't really gotten into too much of it today. But as we see your leader, Craig DeLong, on screen now from our Yamaha Racing live drone, Grizzly Grant is always just so strong late in these 3-hour races. But a lot of people say, and it makes sense, that it's because he saves up so much early. Energy just isn't quite running the pace of some of the leaders. Today, he was kind of been there all day lurking. It's not like he's been outside the top 10, outside the top 15, where we've actually seen him do that and then still come back to make a podium run. So it's kind of maybe starting to balance out for him, looking like he was able to match the pace of the leaders earlier, keep him in check, keep him in sight, and now he's really turned up the heat and knocking on the door of a podium as we see now the 969 FMF Red Bull KTM of Johnny Girard in the number 2 spot and still shadowing him. That 282 of Mike Wachowski on the Phoenix Racing Honda. Shoot across. There goes Craig DeLong, and he is already out of the woods and across the power line section there. So we'll wait and we'll watch for Johnny Girard to do the same. These guys absolutely putting the hammer down, coming in for what will be 5 laps complete, and Ricky Towery with a white flag waving, signifying only one more lap of action around this Powerline Park GNCC racetrack. Things really starting to sort themselves out, guys.
I think it's crazy. You guys do so much prep work. Obviously, the teams, the riders, you guys have notes, have obviously the memory bank as far as what this place is like. Johnny, I've heard you say it. Ricky Russell was saying it. Several of the fans over on the FMF PowerPoint were saying the same thing. This is a brand new Powerline Park. It is not like what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, you know, I spent most of the day in the booth yesterday walking around. Obviously, it was raining. Didn't get into the woods too much. Went into the woods a little bit yesterday evening, and it kind of looked to me like a typical Powerline Park. When I went down and I saw Stu's mechanic Blake, I was down by the edge of the racetrack, and I got to looking. It's crazy, the braking bumps and acceleration bumps that we're seeing. Normally, this is a place super hard packed, polished off. Right now, it's actually turning into almost loam. And look at this, some riders that was that our leaders there?
Yeah, I think it was Johnny
like
and
Wachowski.
Mike. They were kind of getting caught up in a bottleneck. When you have these ruts that are, who knows, quarter of a mile long, you kind of get in that rut, and so early you can't tell if there's a lap rider stuck in it.
And that's what's funny, talking about that, you know, the word that Jay Downhour from JDP and Blake were saying down there, and you've heard so many times, you can't make a rut in this place. Well, there's plenty of them around here today. So the rain that we had must have been spaced just perfectly. Another point that was brought up yesterday, we were talking about it. Normally, we would race here in September or October, so it's been all summer of this place being polished off. It used to be a riding park, so everything was packed in, and then if you got rain, it just kind of sat on top. It seems like yesterday when it was raining, and even on Friday, the rain was actually soaking in, which absolutely changes the entire surface of the racetrack. It's soft, it's getting rutted up, and although it is still slick, it's also actually getting deep and rough. These guys all look like they're just struggling for forward drive, not only because it's slick, because the acceleration bump's just so deep, they're having a hard time to even get the rear wheel to the ground to make traction.
Well, and I tell you, the other thing that caught me by surprise on the hillside, and then even making my way back, I stopped and checked out a couple of other spots, and in some of these deep ruts, the amount of rocks that are deep down in there, I mean, you think there's mud flying down the hill, and all of a sudden you get smacked in the face with a rock the size of your head. Like, it is incredible how many of them there are. Caleb Russell was down there. We actually were about to completely miss the leaders when we had that stand-up shot, and Caleb's like, no, I'm telling him to go the other way. Look at how dug down this is. Several different holes, and if you don't keep that momentum up, they were just sitting there spinning the tires on rocks and some of these roots on the hillside as well.
And Zach, you really are the MVP today, you and our camera guys down there. And yesterday, just taking that roost to get those shots to show us. Obviously, we saw our first and second place riders yesterday stuck on that FMF PowerPoint hill climb, side by side, looking at each other and having to make the difficult decision. Do we keep trying to inch our way up this hill, or do we back down and go the long way around? Ultimately, again, Josh Merritt making that decision first, getting to the bottom of the hill, taking the long way around and grabbing the win. So in the trenches, taking the roost. We appreciate you being out there and taking one for the team.
Absolutely. They say the announcers don't like to get dirty, and that was probably my favorite part. I mean, over there, that is what GNCC is all about. The atmosphere, the fans are going crazy, everybody's having a good time. The top leaders, they make it look easy. It's when you get deeper in the field where you realize This is insane what these guys are doing. I saw 2 bikes completely flip over, tumble down the hill backwards. We had fans dragging riders up the side of the hillside. It's truly a group effort out there. Shout out to the Mud Fleas and everybody even attempting that hill down there.
Okay, here we see our second place rider, Johnny Gerard, coming through. Mike Witkowski still shadowing him there. This is at the 12-mile marker. And yes, folks, we did see Craig DeLong come through there right at the beginning when we went to that shot. And he is now a little further ahead, already out in the fields, making the chicanes and working his way towards that GBC Tires pit stop area where he is entering now, looking like they may have some hydration for him. You can see him passing the KTM semi soon here. We'll be passing his own Rockstar Husqvarna semi. They got pit boards out. No drink bottle, it looks like this time. So Craig must be on point with the hydration, but he is charging, trying to gain every single second he possibly can as he continues to work his way towards what will be a white flag waving, meaning one more lap around, and it will be the end of this one here today. Can Craig DeLong hold on to it? He's done everything right these last couple laps. He just keeps inching it out. A couple seconds each lap. It's not that he's just gapped these guys crazy amounts. He's just done it. 2 seconds here, 6 seconds there, and so far nobody's had an answer for him all day long.
Really looks like Craig in some of these open sections really hugging those inside lines, kind of steering with the back end as well. Kind of looks like he's trying to stay out of some of the more main used lines as he gets ready, only a couple of turns away before he comes across the line and takes that white flag. So we'll see exactly how things have shaped up as we get ready to enter the final lap of racing here from Powerline Park.
And before he checks in with this lap time complete, it was a 29:26 the lap before, a 29:30 last lap, and now he does check in with a 29:29. So you want to talk about clockwork. I mean, he's run his last 3 laps all within basically 20 and 30, so 4 seconds of each other. He's just right there, right on top of each other with the lap times, hitting his marks, doing it all correctly, and opened up what we at one point this last lap saw about a 30-second gap over Johnny Gerard. It was 27 seconds to start the lap. And now keep in mind, he did only have 10 seconds over Grant Davis on that time correction. Johnny has now checked in with 5 laps complete. Again, 27.8 seconds, exactly the same gap back to Johnny Gerard and another 3 seconds back to Mike Witkowski. So, which should be virtually identical lap times. You want to talk about virtually identical, 1/100th of a second, a 29:29.06 for Craig DeLong and a 29:29.07 for Johnny Gerard. Shout out to Mike Witkowski, 29:28.49. So about half a second faster is Mike Witkowski, and these guys are so close. He's the guy making up time.
Yeah, Witkowski really having a solid ride. I walked by the Phoenix Honda tent when I went over to check on Jordan Ashburn, gave him a thumbs up, and Wayne Eller gave me the old woohoo, feeling good, having a good time. So props to them for doing such a good job, because Mike has been building weekend after weekend. Johnny, what are you seeing?
Grant Baylor now checking in with an even faster lap time of a 29:26, so only 3 seconds faster than Craig DeLong, 2 seconds faster than Mike Witkowski, but he's only 10 seconds behind Mike Witkowski, looking to battle for those final podium positions, or maybe even put in a push to try to catch Craig DeLong, who's only about 34 seconds ahead of him.
And anything is possible for Grizzly Grant Baylor. We saw at one point, might have been Camp Coker. At one point, he was like 23 seconds faster than everybody on course. The guy just seems to find an extra gear towards the tail end of the race, and he knows he's only got 1 lap left to do it, so he's got to lay it all on the table right now.
All right, Grant Davis, your XC2 leader, has checked in, and he is still in the number 2 overall position. He did give up about another 11 seconds to Craig DeLong, meaning he is now about, 22 seconds behind. So it was about 10, 11 seconds, is now 22. So it's starting to look like Craig DeLong stretching it out a little bit over Grant Davis. Grant Davis with a 29-minute, 40-second lap time, when most of the top XC1 guys in the 29:28, 29:29 range. So he's about 11 seconds off the pace. And this is how tough this track can be for some of the rest of these guys. If you don't pick the line, you know, it goes sideways quickly here, Zach. And, you know, Ben, when you're out there battling, you got to be careful not to take this line, because this guy's given everything he can to try to get this machine out. But it looks like he might be there a while.
Yeah, this is the last thing you want. Get your hands in the mud and then get your grips all muddy and you're sliding around. That's why a lot of these guys, you know, we saw Ricky Russell just run out of here because he wants to go help out the team and point lines for Liam Draper. So having a good supportive team out there in these tricky sections, they can jump in, they can see how lines are deteriorating, and they could be there to point you and tell you when the line you took the lap prior is no longer a good one.
Absolutely, and this is actually Gavin, our director, Don Hampton's son. and he helps us set things out. Look at him taking a look over at the camera. He's like, this is when you guys put me on Racer TV, really? And so he's probably telling us all about how much fun he's having and how great he's feeling. But, yeah, tough luck for him. And, I mean, you can just talk about it right there, Ben. When you fall over, it's like there's hands coming up from the ground holding your bike down there. You guys are obviously very fit. You're very strong, more than capable of picking the motorcycle up. But in suction cup type mud like that, it's like the thing weighs 1,000 pounds.
Oh, of course, especially 2.5 hours into the race. You're tired. The second you fall down, you get no more airflow. So it really zaps your energy.
All right, Craig DeLong did come by here at mile marker number 1. We saw him jump across that little road crossing. So now we're waiting on the factory FMF Red Bull KTM of Johnny Gerard in the number 2 spot. Again, heavy pressure from behind from Mike Witkowski, and it looks like they are coming through just in that formation, absolutely still wheel to wheel with likely Grizzly Grant Baylor not too far behind, was about 10 seconds when they checked in at the completion of lap number 5, and looks like he might have made up even a little bit of time here, guys.
Yeah, that definitely, if it was 10 seconds, it was just barely, because that was pretty close, and maybe just outside of being able to see him, see the riders in front of him at all times. But you know, in some of these open field sections, Grant's able to mark him. He knows he's catching up, and that just fuels the fire. Taking a look now, it looks like one of those Yamaha guys, I've seen them do it multiple times. They've got water in the jug. I've always been curious, you know, you come in after a race, you dump a cold bottle of water on your head, your breath kind of gets taken away. Have you ever had any experience with that, and does it ever really affect you as you're making your way around?
Only positively. I'm sure, who knows where he's getting that water from, whether it's cold or not, or just a little muddy water out of the creek, but just a little bit to cool you down late in the race is usually nice.
Watching more of our riders make their way through.
Like Trevor Bollinger going by there, missed a few in front of him.
Saw Grant Davis come through there as well, your XC2 leader. Looking like things shaking up a little bit again in that XC2 class, as these guys now checking in with 5 laps complete. Still leading the way, obviously, Grant Davis in a second place overall position, but leading that XC2 class. Second place in that XC2, the number 1 of Liam Draper on that Ampro Yamaha, putting in a solid ride, up only about 32 seconds behind Grant Davis. So he is sitting solidly in what looks like about a 6th place overall position. So we've been talking about Grant Davis kind of leading this one from the front, battling for an overall position, but he has to stay on the throttle because only 32 seconds back is Liam Draper. It's not like he has a big gap in that class for the lead there in that XC2. And then back from Liam Draper, you got to go back to Angus Reardon, who's 41 seconds back in the number 3 spot. Has taken that spot back from Thad Duvall, who had it momentarily. Thad Duvall only 1.9 seconds behind him, still battling very hard, trying to get himself a podium in that XC2 Pro Lights class.
Yeah, I was about to say, this has got to be a standout ride for Thad. We talked about the confidence he's got to have coming into the weekend, but absolutely, he seems to have things figured out. They've been working hard on that Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki. He even did some testing, I believe, at his property earlier this week in somewhat similar conditions. It was a little wetter than this, but we talked about how key setup is with something like this, considering how unexpected these conditions are out at Powerline Park. Maybe he's just got the setup a little bit better.
Yeah, you know, it looks comfortable all day. He's been in the mix. He's been solidly in the top 5 and sitting just 1.9 seconds off a podium. We did already see him get a podium earlier this year at the Cam Coker, but it's kind of been a mixed bag here for Thad Duvall in 2024. He's had a podium. He's had some good, solid rides, but he's also had some weekends where he'd probably rather forget having been there. Some struggles, like you said, it sounded like at the last race they did a rear shock swap, saying the rear shock was fading. So looks like the testing that they've done or whatever changes they've made paying off big today as he is battling for a podium position. But battle right now on screen, or just was on screen, in those leaves where you can't see behind there, all the foliage on the tree really messing with our drone shots today. Craig DeLong out front at the 3-mile marker, but we did see Johnny Gerard, Mike Witkowski. Ben, your perspective on this here. We talked about it earlier. Mike Witkowski definitely kind of had a struggle of a year in that XC2 class. You know, had some flashes of brilliance, but just wasn't really able to kind of keep the consistency the last several years. Here we are getting pretty deep into the season, and it seems like he's really building. You know, a podium could really be kind of the next step for him and really kind of solidifying himself as a contender here in 2024.
Yeah, this would be really big for him and the Phoenix Honda team. It's good to see. It'd be nice to talk with him afterwards, see if he's made any changes to his program or if he's Grant Baylor getting even closer. If he's just chipping away and slowly build brick by brick.
And not to, you know, try to jump ahead here, but even if Mike Witkowski would ultimately give up that position to Grant Baylor. And not to say that he may not be the one on the on the move and get around Johnny and take away second, potentially even go after Craig. But I think to run in a podium position, the weight of that, the mental strength that it takes, the tenacity and the focus, I mean, it's a big step for him, even if he doesn't ultimately end this. If he would, get some pressure from Grant, it's just been a great day through 5 laps of racing for sure.
Well, Mike's he's talked a lot about building blocks. Even if he hasn't been up on the podium, he's gotten several whole shot awards, so we get to talk with him on the box, and he takes those truly positively, and I think sometimes people dismiss getting a good start. I didn't get the finish that I was looking for, but he's been the guy where he's like, hey, I want to take this, I'm enjoying it, and next up is the top 5. He gets a top 5 finish. Next up, let's try to get a podium. And so taking it all in stride, and I know that Phoenix Honda team around him is supporting him in every way that they can.
Yeah, Zach, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, starting off the season with the 13th place overall, a 9th at round 2, a 17th and a 15th at round 3 and 4. The 9th, obviously, if you're in the top 10, a guy like Mike, rookie to the class, top 10 overall is nothing to shake a stick at. But in the last 2 rounds, 5-5. I mean, those are big moves coming from a guy that had not had success yet in this XC1 class, and now looking to take that maybe even one step further and say, hey, I'm not just a top 5 guy. I'm going to thank the sponsors from the middle of the box. Going to get up there with my man, Zach Herron.
Absolutely.
We're going to pop some bottles, baby.
That's what I'm talking about. Champagne showers in store here, just under half an hour away from the celebrations getting kicked off down here. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Plenty of racing to go. Grizzly Grant Baylor says, wait a second, I want to be popping some bottles up there, and he's looking good right now. Ben, we saw it on that last camera shot. It did look like ever so slightly chipping away at it, but we've said it before. It's one thing to catch up to a rider, finding a way around them, whole different story.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it's going to be difficult to make passes on a track like this today. We're saying it's rutting up. It looks like a lot of the course in the woods are 2 ruts, and once you get out the main line, it becomes really slick. So the field could be one of the best opportunities for someone like Grant to try to make a pass if he does catch up to the wheel of Mike Wachowski.
Guys, quick little update. Stu Baylor has checked in now with 5 laps complete, still sitting in that 15th overall position with a lap time of 31:12. So about just under 2 minutes off the pace of the leaders right now. So he's definitely losing time, but still sitting solidly. And if we look at the lap times and the finish times of 5 laps for the riders around him, it looks like he's about 1 minute and 35 seconds behind Evan Smith, who would be the 14th place overall rider. But go back to Nick DeFeo, who is, 2:35, about 2 minutes and 26 seconds behind him. So Stu does have a pretty substantial gap over the rider behind him in the overall, the 258 leader of Nick DeFeo. It's not a great day, but he looks like he's kind of stabilized there in that 15th place position, and maybe just looking to salvage some points with whatever it is that's going on today.
Yeah, can't help but think probably damage control mode at this point, especially if he is feeling very bad. That was not 10 seconds, folks. I can guarantee you that was a little closer to 5, if that. And so Baylor going to make things interesting. Now, do you expect a response from Mike Wachowski? Obviously, sometimes we see, not like Mike's not trying his hardest right now, but when it's like, oh, wait a second, Grant's right there, maybe these two walk up and give it a 3-rider battle, bring it to Johnny Girard.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what we're going to see unfold here. I mean, if you're Mike Wachowski, I believe if you're sitting in a podium position on the last lap with no pressure behind, not a lot of sense of urgency unless you're really feeling comfortable and feeling like Johnny's holding you up. Why not just kind of ride it in? If you have an opportunity in the final miles, you got a line picked out, or you can run it in on him in a field, sure, but you don't push the envelope unnecessarily unless you feel like you have the speed to actually go after Craig for the win. But now the entire game plan changes because a podium would be huge. You're going to fight, you're going to scrap, you're going to try to hang on to that, but to do that, he's going to have to hold off the Grizzly.
Absolutely. Got to give some props to Josh Strang, too, having an extremely solid ride on that Sherco. Taking some alternate lines, too, over at the FMF PowerPoint. But as I've talked to him before, obviously he didn't get quite as much time on the motorcycle before the season started. He said, I was more focused on getting time on the bike than really working on setup. He said, so now we've kind of gone back to the drawing board, really start to tweak and tailor fit this machine to get the way I like it. Seems like he's got something figured out here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And currently running in the 7th place overall. Look at this. Craig DeLong really taking some extra time to make sure that he picks the right rut there. It almost looked like he was waiting for that lapper to decide which rut he was going to commit to. Craig said, hey, I got a little bit of a gap here. I'm not going to charge in, find myself on the ground, mess up the gloves. And he knows he's got a few seconds to work with, but he doesn't want to give away too much time because, as we pointed out, a snarling battle starting to shape up behind him. Josh Strang already getting a 7th place overall at round 2 in Florida. Here we see 2nd place Johnny Girard. There's the 282 of Wachowski in 3rd, and
still a little bit enough of a gap where
so he's not.
Grant isn't close enough to really even quite see those guys once they enter the woods.
Yeah, he's not quite there yet, but it's definitely less than the 10 seconds that it was at the finish line. Still got some work to do, though, if he wants to have himself physically in that battle for a podium position. But yes, as we were saying, Josh Strang currently running in that 7th place overall position, having already won top 10 this season with that 7th place, in addition to a 12, a 16, a 14, a 20. So every ride except for one, he's been able to get it to the finish line, score some top 20 points. But this is a former champion of the series and a 7th place and 5th in that XC1 Pro class. Big step in the right direction today.
Absolutely, and a previous winner here multiple years as well. I believe it was 14 and 15 where he got the job done. So like we said, something as simple as that can just raise the spirits coming into the weekend, and that can be extremely powerful as we see Grant Davis go by on screen. And there is Josh Strang on that JS Sherco.
There you go. Josh Strang sitting there in the 7th place overall. Grant Davis just ahead of him, but actually in the 2nd place overall. When they had checked in with 5 laps complete, it was a 22-second deficit that he had to Craig DeLong. So again, we're talking about that gap back to Johnny Girard, who was 27.8, almost 28 seconds back. So technically, kind of when you make the virtual time correction, obviously Grant Davis in between those two. So he's not only trying to physically outrun Johnny Girard, he's got to keep an eye on that gap to Grant Davis, make sure he doesn't give away that lead on corrected time.
Well, here we go, folks. The white flag is officially waving. We are getting ready to bring this Kenda Tires Powerline Park GNCC to a close. It's this guy, Craig DeLong, trying to bring it home for the first win of the 2024 season. He's got the #1 plate. He wants to put it on the #1 spot. I mean, this is basically a perfect race, guys. He's got the lead early. He's been able to chip away. He's got a nice manageable gap, and he's going to try to bring it home. We're going to get a word from our sponsors and bring it back to close out the Powerline Park GNCC right here on Racer TV.
I'm Craig DeLong. You're watching GNCC live on RacerTV.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
Minutes and 2 laps. Let's go racing. Full contact. Lucas, athlete. Down to the inside. Jet Lord still on top. Oh, the podium here. I don't think any atmosphere can match it. Nothing quite like pro motocross.
We've been there since the very beginning. Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. St. Clairsville, Ohio. We're back, baby. It's first time since 2018. Craig DeLong doing his thing out in front, looking like Craig DeLong of last year, or really, to be more recent, looking like Craig DeLong a couple of weeks ago. Just out in front this time as we are waiting on those leaders to check in here to mile marker number 10. Zach Heron alongside Ben Kelly, myself, Mikey Waynes, Johnny Gallagher with us, and Jackson Burrell out and about. There he is. There is the number one of Craig DeLong, looking like Craig DeLong, like we expected Craig to look, and I think probably like Craig expected Craig to look coming into this season.
Well, and it's so crazy as we see.
Johnny G looks closer.
I was about to say, Johnny Gerard has cut that gap down.
Well,
he got the memo because Grizzly Grant has made the pass around Mike Wachowski. Let's see. So Wachowski's still right there, and we talked about these guys elevating the speed as they started swapping for positions. Man, that gap has cut down significantly. This is going to be a barn burner. We thought it might be almost all but said and done. But going back to my original point, it is crazy to see just how much a podium finish can flip a switch in somebody like Craig DeLong. Obviously, he's been trying hard all year long. Things have not gone his way that are kind of out of his control. But then it's like all of a sudden, when you get it back on track, it's on track. And, man, this is the Craig DeLong that we expected to see. Hey, there goes our buddy Gavin. He is back up. He got that thing unstuck. So shout out to him. He said, at least get one shot of me on the bike, please, riding.
Feet on the pegs.
Yep, looking good. So, but you can probably talk to that, Ben, as somebody that's had to come back from injury and somebody coming back from injury as well. And then the downs, coming back from when things go wrong, when you finally get that little break, when it's like, oh, I get that podium, I get my groove back. Is it as simple as that, and all of a sudden you feel like you're back, or do you know there's still more road to climb?
still more road to climb, but Johnny Girard is really close.
Yeah, this is far from over. Wow, look at that.
The track is really broken down at this FMF PowerPoint. Guys taking all sorts of different lines. Yeah, Grant Baylor is definitely pushing the pace. I'm sure Johnny Girard caught a glimpse of him and said, not today. He's trying to salvage as many points as he can.
And it's crazy being over at the FMF PowerPoint. Like I said, I saw Caleb Russell before we got a shot, and he was like, I'm going to move these guys about 10 feet to the other line just because of how much it's broken down over one lap. So we talked about this thing continuing to break down and change throughout each and every lap. You could see, I don't think each one of those three guys took the exact same line. Some of them going towards the left, up towards the top side. They kind of split the hill halfway. And, yeah, it really has seemed to go the direction of Johnny Girard right now, where maybe Craig DeLong got hung up and we missed it during commercial break.
And 3 miles to go. Let's see, is that enough time for them to reel Craig in?
Yeah, that's the other thing. We are now less than 7 minutes before we'll see the checkered flag in this one. So, hey, DeLong has been near perfect to this point. Just got to hang on for a little bit longer, but a hard-charging Johnny Girard and Grant Baylor lurking in the shadows.
Well, that means it's just about time for me to head down and meet up with Jackson Burrow. We're going to have some interviews here, find out. It's going to be a great story, no matter who comes across the line. But yeah, this one's going to be a barn burner. I'll be listening to you guys all the way to the checkers.
Grant Davis also, as you guys are pointing out, having a pretty sensational ride as well. This is not the first time we've seen him do this season. And hey, honestly, like Grant, real deal in the XC2 class. He did it in the sands of Florida. He's doing it here today in what is the slicker than a mayonnaise sandwich round. Like, the kid's getting it done.
Yeah, here we see our leaders on screen in the same camera shot. Johnny Girard, interesting line there, skipping the rut and just kind of taking his time, getting up on the edge, and looking like right now he's doing everything right. The question that we do not know, what we did not see off screen, is this just a case of Johnny Girard pushing the pace and closing it up, or was something off screen cost Craig DeLong enough time, keeping in mind there is virtually a rider between these two once you correct the time, or at least there was when they checked in with 5 laps complete, and that rider was the 922, the XC2 leader of Grant Davis. So man, this one really may turn into a barn burner coming through the final turns with every single second counting, because even if Craig can cross the finish line ahead of Johnny Girard,
Johnny is right on his rear wheel at this point.
He got a drive there coming up that hill. Wow.
We got ourselves you know what? We waited a long time for this situation here today, but now we have got a mano-a-mano battle between Craig DeLong and Johnny Girard coming down to the checkered flag. We are now less than 5 minutes away from seeing the checkers.
And then we'll have to wait at least another minute to determine if those guys actually did win the overall or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You said if it is whether Johnny Girard picked up the pace or if Craig DeLong lost a little time. As we saw, Grant Davis was only about 20 seconds behind him. So if Grant Davis put in a heater and Craig was able to lose some time, we might see Grant Davis taking the overall.
Yeah, so that's what we'll have to wait and see when they come across the line. But you also have to wonder, Grant Davis consistently losing time, not much, but 11 seconds that last lap. Was that enough that he just...
Johnny Girard has a drive around the outside. Oh, going for it. Look at that. Look at Craig answering right there. And then I love that Girard jumping back out to go into that inside line.
This is good. This is going to be tough. We're going to see the pass is going to happen. I think Johnny's going to really have to run it in on him.
Yeah, we do have those couple slippery field corners there coming through the GBC Tires pit stop area and through the Auxiliary Pro pits, and then even those final chicanes into the finish. I mean, there's definitely an opportunity, like you said, Ben, to run it in there. These guys are, friendly, but this is a GNCC win.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
If you got to rub elbows, hey, man, do what you got to do.
Rubbin's racing.
A test, right? So Johnny Girard says, hey, I'm thinking about the war, not necessarily the battle. Does he hang in there in second, knowing, hey, I finished above or in front of the guy I knew I wanted to finish in front of? I got a feeling, though, the man who's won some races is taking over right now. And when it's that close, if you can get it, you want to take it. On the flip of that, if you're Craig DeLong, he needs this, too, if nothing else, for a moral victory for his own confidence.
Of course, and he's done everything right so far.
Guys, did we just see? No, okay.
Nope,
for a minute there, it looked like Johnny was ahead. Still Craig DeLong leading the way, and this is it, folks. This is now down to just the final sections of racetrack. They're going to work their way through these trees. They're going to pop out at the 12-mile marker, and then it's just fields and chicanes to the finish line. There's some multi-lines in there, definitely some passing opportunities, but as Ben pointed out, might be something where you have to run it in. Maybe a little contact will be made. These guys are good friends, but I think anything short of knocking Craig down, and Johnny's going to go for it. Look at this wheel-to-wheel here at the 12-mile marker, and this is it, coming to the finish.
Here they come. DeLong out in front. Gerard around the outside again, trying to carry that speed and make a pass. Love it. Craig kicking up a little dust. Who would have thought early in this week we'd be doing that? Gerard, again, different line choice right there. Craig on the outside, keeping her on two wheels. Oh, this is good, boys. Now less than a minute, or just right at a minute before we should see them check in for the checkered flag. Gerard trying to set him up. Craig's done a sensational job of answering back. And these pits about to lose their mind for these boys. Let's see, Rockstar Husky guys out there as well as the KTM guys. DeLong still out in front, trying to capture his first win of the season.
We've got this hard right-hander coming up at the end of this next straightaway where Craig has really been tiptoeing around the inside. I think if Johnny can maybe send it around the outside like he's trying to do there, and he just...
Oh, so close.
Craig getting into the grass, or Johnny getting into the grass a little bit. Has to check up right there as DeLong closes the door on him. Oh, if you're down on the finish line, get ready to lose your minds. Can Craig DeLong hang on as Gerard had to check up? Craig's got to be perfect right here.
It's going to be tough.
I think that was it. I think that was the last opportunity.
Took a shot.
Yep.
Let's see. They duck out of sight. Who's it going to be? It will be the number one, Craig DeLong, capturing his first win of the season aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna. And Gerard says, dude, hell of a race right there. That was a ton of fun. You got to hand it to Gerard. He took his shot, didn't play out for him. Craig DeLong answers right back and hangs on to the win.
Well, and keep in mind, folks, we got to sit here. We got to wait.
Very good point.
Grant Davis only just over 20 seconds back at the completion of lap number 5, and we don't know if John. Looking at the lap times,
they were 30 seconds slower that lap.
30 seconds slower that lap. So what? Let's see.
Grant Baylor has checked in.
So Grant Baylor's checked in now in the number 3 spot. You can see him. Look at him saying, "Man, I was just holding it wide open."
Maybe not. That might have. That's the elapsed time of 2 hours 58 seconds.
Okay,
their
yeah,
lap
so
time was
29:43, and they were running 29:28, 29:30.
And Johnny 9 was a 29:16, so Johnny really picked it up that
There
lap.
you go. So likely, we don't know though. We're going to wait and see Grant Davis when he does check in. He was in that second place. Will it be enough to hang on to second? Will he be able to hold off Grant Baylor for third? Will he potentially win this overall? We're going to wait. We're going to watch. We should be seeing the 9:22 of Grant Davis check in any moment now if he's able to hold the pace that he was running before. But this man, at least for right now, the man of the day, taking that XC1 win for sure, and what is starting to look more and more like it will be the overall win. Your 2023 champion coming back with a vengeance today, grabbing the win. Mikey, do we have Grant Davis yet?
Not just yet. Grant Baylor, as you guys saw, checked in. Mike Witkowski is in the 4th spot as far as the XC1 is concerned, and we are still waiting on the 9:22 Grant Davis. And I got to think, if you're Craig DeLong, you're thinking, okay, good, he's not checked in yet. Like, let's wait.
All right, we're being told by our producer, but we have gone outside the 1 minute gap, meaning that it appears that with that there is Grant Davis coming across the line. No, that was Trevor Bollinger and Josh Strang. So still no Grant Davis. We do believe we can now call it official. Grant Davis should be checking in, and that looks to be him right there. It is.
Okay, let's see. Drum roll, please. Grant Davis will finish 5th in the overall on the day on the adjusted time, obviously taking the win out of the XC2. Something had to happen to Grant Davis out there. Liam Draper's checked in as well, and just behind him by about 3.5 seconds. So, hey, congratulations to Grant. Still a solid day.
Yeah, absolutely. But the man of the hour, the man of the day, right there, Craig DeLong and Johnny Gerard putting in a very valiant effort there at the finish line, getting up next to him several times in the final mile of racing, putting in a burner on that last lap, trying to maximize his points on the day, but looking more and more as more riders cross the finish line like a big points day for Johnny Gerard. Stu Baylor sitting back in that 15th place overall position. Last we saw Johnny coming across the line in second.
Yeah, but just a great day. Stoked for Craig. obviously, we look at the whole big picture for him. Not the start to the season he wanted, I think, or anybody really expected. Starting to throw around that dirty phrase of, national championship hangover. Throw that out the window. The man was great 2 weeks ago in Indiana, and he was absolutely the top dog here today. Good to see Craig down there in Victory Lane, all smiles right now.
Yeah, all smiles. You got to wonder if he has a bike stand that he's putting his leg on there, because I don't think he can touch the ground.
Oh,
but
my goodness.
Nonetheless, no, seriously, good ride for that man. Absolutely killed it today. Took over the lead at the completion of lap number 1, right as they started lap number 2, and held it all the way to the finish. Looks like actually our 3rd and 4th place riders have checked in XC2. Looks like Gus Reardon got it done in 3rd, and Thad Duvall in 4th, if I saw correctly, Mikey?
Yeah, correct. Yep, your top 3, Grant Davis, Liam Draper, Angus Reardon, and then Thad in 4th, and Cody Barnes was looking at a 5th. Doesn't look like he's checked in just yet.
It looked like Reardon and Duvall just crossed the finish line. Shout out to Grant Baylor, too. Another podium here in 2024, charging hard late, displacing Mike Witkowski. But still, Mike Witkowski, 4th place overall, and in that XC1 class, best ride of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Great ride by him, and it looks like Zach Heron standing by with our overall winner here today. Welcome back to the number 1 spot, Craig DeLong.
Hey guys, thanks. Yep, I'm down here at the finish line, the number 1, back at the top step of the podium. Craig, I don't think it's any secret the start of the season, not quite what you like, but you've been building. You've been taking the steps in the proper direction. How good does it feel to finally get it done and get back on the top step?
It feels good. I mean, I owe it to everybody here on the team and their hard work for kind of keeping me going there at the first couple races. So this one's for them. And, just got a good start, and I was comfortable there and following Ryder, and then I was able to sneak around him, and I was ready to go. And I felt good and sprinted and got that gap and tried to maintain it all race, and I did pretty much that until the last lap. I got a little too comfortable, I guess, and Johnny wicked her up, and I was not expecting him to be right on me there the last couple miles. It was that was wild for sure. That was definitely had my heart rate going, and it was a fun. He's like, you're lucky you're my friend. I would have killed you out there. So thanks to Johnny for not completely killing us out there. But good ride for him. He had a killer last lap, and it's awesome, man. And happy Mother's Day to my mom and Angelina back home and everybody else. Thanks.
There you go, man. I'm going to let you soak this in, guys. Craig DeLong is back at the top step, the number 1, finishing number 1 here today.
What a gentleman, that Johnny Gerard.
The best part of that, though, is that was most likely a verbatim direct quote.
Guaranteed.
He said, you're lucky you're my friend, or I would have killed you out there. Of course, in good jest, you're not going to kill anyone. But, hey, man, these are GNCC wins on the line. They don't come easy. You got to risk it to get the biscuit. Johnny Gerard looking like he had the line at one point next to him, but he was on the outside. That said, Craig wasn't going to give it up, and I think Johnny took the better part of discretion and said, hey, man, 2nd place, that's good points for the day. My buddy's going to get this one. I'll get him next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the man, there he is himself, Jackson Burrell, standing by with Johnny Gerard.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with our 2nd place, Johnny Gerard. Johnny charging hard there at the end, trying to make the pass. Will you take us through today?
Yeah, I started off a little too slow and made a couple mistakes. I feel like it was a speed limit track, and anytime you wicked it, you'd be down on the ground. I think I washed the front end 3 times. I got within 10 to 15 seconds of the lung there, 2-3 laps to go, and I could see him and tucked the front end, and next thing you know, I got a pit board plus 40 seconds, and I was like, man, you see Grant Baylor behind me. I said, it's time to work, and ended up reeling him in the last lap there, and got up next side of him 3-4 times there, and I thought I was going to get him, and hats off to him. Good ride. Back on top of the box there this year, so good for him. Training partner and friend, and just happy for him, and happy to get on the box again and grow some more points.
Johnny, a great points day for you. How do you feel heading into round number 8?
Yeah, I feel good, man. I felt good all year, just some illness and a couple mistakes, but like I said, man, I'm cruising.
All right, guys, that's your 2nd place, Johnny Gerard.
So good. Like the interview there by Johnny Gerard. I think, he said, I'm more focused on the war this season as opposed to, like, the battle. That, to me, was like proof in the pudding right there. He said, it's great points day. Would have loved to have had the win. Stoked for his buddy. but he did what he needed to do today. And that man that he needs to make sure he's finishing in front of right now is a 514. We did have Stu check in back in the number 15 spot. We'll get an interview right now with Grant Baylor, who finished in the number 3 spot.
I'm here with Grant Baylor, your third place here today. Grant, absolutely flying out there, charging hard at the end. Take us through your race day.
Oh man, it was a brutal day out there. Didn't make it easy on myself. Got off the line out there last, and about 5 miles into the track there, coming down a slick rocky hill, just lost the front and went off straight into a big old oak tree, and was tangled up in the bushes there for a good 30 seconds. And XC1 boys were right there behind me, and then made another little mistake, and Grant Davis got by me, so then I was back behind the XC2 boys on lap 1, and yeah, man, I just I put my head down. Stewart got right around me there, and him and Grant and Trevor made a little mistake, and I was able to get by those guys, and yeah, I just put my head down. It was really hard to pass out there today. Kind of just had to wait for someone to make a mistake or take a bad line, but yeah, I mean, I just gave it all I had. I called up to Johnny and Mike Wachowski there with 2 to go, and then wrecked right before I came out onto the start stretch there, and gave him a little gap, and then had to climb back up there, and it's really hard to get around Mikey that last lap. He was running me wide and putting me off the track, so yeah, I mean, it was really tough to pass out there the way the trail was laid out, but I was able to get by Mikey there, and then yeah, just didn't have enough in the tank there to get up to these guys. I could see Craig and Johnny just right there, but just didn't have it today.
Well, congratulations on the podium. How do you feel going into round number 8?
I'm feeling really good, man. Just I bumped my knee up at round 1, did MCL and meniscus, and it's just been super weak and bugging me a little bit. It's starting to come around now, so I'm feeling good, ready to get some more good results in. Finish out this year strong.
All right, guys, that's Grant Baylor, your third place here today.
There you go, guys. His third podium of 2024, approaching one of his better seasons. You know, to be on the podium consistently through 7 rounds, 3 different times, he's definitely done it in a diversity of conditions. He did it today, obviously in kind of the mud, did it at round 1 in the dry dust, and then at Camp Cooker at round 4 in the sand. So he's done it in multiple different conditions. Another great ride for Grant Baylor. Mikey Wayne, you pointed out there, Stu Baylor crossing the line in 15th place in that overall. With the shakeup in the points now, 10 points was the gap coming into today. Yep. That would be a 19-point margin for Johnny Girard today, with 25 points for second and 6 points for 15th, meaning he made up those 18 points that he lost the last 2 rounds and one more. Man. So now it's a 29-point gap going into round number 8.
Flirting with that full race in points difference. Sounds like we are ready with our winner of the XC2 and a man who held second in the OA for much of today's race, Grant Davis.
Hey, thanks, guys. We're going from one Grant to another. You were just telling me you had a good lead going, and then you said you went down pretty hard, smacked your head. Take us through what happened. All in all, you fight through for an XC2 win, but you were that close to grabbing the overall.
Yeah, it was a good day for sure. I got the whole shot, and then I just tried to check out a little bit and get behind the XC1 boys so I could hang on to them for the rest of the race. And I saw Stu, got with him, and then I started making up some time, like passes and stuff. And then I think me and Liam were staying like 30, 40 seconds apart all day. And last lap, I don't even know what I was doing. Came into a corner hot, lost the front end, just smacked my face off the ground, got my whole face pretty good, but other than that, it was a good day. Glad to extend the points lead for sure.
Absolutely. Now, we talk about the overall contention. How much confidence does it give you to know that you can run with these XC1 guys going all the way down to the final lap? That's got to really say something about where you're at and where your program's at.
Oh, for sure. It helps. My confidence is very high right now. I won 3 races, and Florida I got on the overall podium, and I've been close pretty much every race here now. And then hopefully I win this championship, defend it, and then go up with them boys and give them a run for it.
There you go, guys. Grant Davis already looking to the future. Your XC2 winner.
Well, big congratulations to Grant Davis, obviously on the XC2 win. I like it. Hey, he said he's ready to mix it up in the XC1 already. He sounds very similar to a young Ben Kelly to me.
Yeah, it's good to see. You got to have that dangling carrot to chase after, and we're seeing that work in his favor as he's building his points lead in the XC2 class.
Taking a look at that top 10, obviously Craig taking the big win today. pretty well. Am I wrong in saying he start to finish? Did he ever relinquish that lead?
Yeah, he wasn't leading lap 1. Ryder
That's right,
Lafferty
correct.
led lap
Okay,
1.
that's right.
Craig took over the lead at the beginning of lap 2, but led 5 of the 6 laps.
Yeah, solid day. Gerard and great points day did exactly what he needed to do. Grant Baylor, solid day on the box. Mike Wachowski, Mike Wachowski, he's a legitimate player at this point.
Career best ride, 4th place overall. And, backing up those 2 top 5s the last 2 rounds, 1 step closer. Had a podium till the final miles, but nothing to hang his head about. Excellent ride for him and that Phoenix Racing Honda team.
Yeah, big congratulations to him having a pretty solid day. As we will now take a look at the Specialized Race Recap. Back in St. Clairsville, Ohio, Craig DeLong saying, Ohio, what's up? Ricky Towery waving of the green flag. And, love this start. I don't know if TV broadcast quite did it justice. This is like an off-camber on an off-camber on an off-camber with an S-turn. It was pretty gnarly to watch in person. Craig DeLong grabbing that Steel City Medical Center whole shot award and then going to work. There was the pass by Lafferty. See, that was up over my head. I couldn't see it where I was at.
Yeah, Lafferty leading lap 1, but Craig DeLong right behind him. And Mike Wachowski just there all day, never not inside of the lead just about throughout the entirety of the day.
Snodgrass having some success early, and then Craig DeLong said, you know what, I got the number 1 plate for a reason. Let me go out here and put it on display for you folks on Racer TV today. Tough break for Jordan Ashburn. He was able to get back on the machine. I'd have to look at the results to see where he finished, but I think outside of the top 20 today.
Yeah, and the 15th place overall for that guy, Stu Baylor. This is where he said, came in, took this bottle, and apparently told the crew, I'm bonking. We'll see if we can get a word for him. Obviously not on the broadcast, but maybe for the next show we'll have some word. Check the social media, find out exactly what was going on. Just an off day for Stu, finishing 15th place overall.
After this, Craig DeLong was exerting his best efforts to try and make it a boring race by checking out from these guys, but just refusing to be denied was Johnny Gerard. And then how about the ride Grant Davis was having up to the last lap?
This is maybe where things started to go a little bit awry for Craig. He had a pretty good gap and then just riding a little bit cautious. When we say awry, you got to be cautious when you have that opportunity, but he took what was upwards of a 30-second gap and it started to shrink down around about this point in the race. Johnny Gerard on a mission, on a hunt, and starting to track him down.
Yeah, one thing for sure, Johnny Gerard, you're going to get 120% out of that man every race day. And he was laying it all out, as was Grant Baylor. And then they said, you know what? We're going to put on the show this last lap. Craig DeLong, Johnny Gerard, mano y mano. And this is right here where Gerard takes his shot. Gets a door shut on him by Craig DeLong. And from there, DeLong was able to hold him off and bring it in for his first win of the 2024 season, looking very reminiscent of the 2023 national champ that we knew from last year. Great race, boys. Ben Kelly, big takeaway from today. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, good to see Craig getting that momentum back and getting the win, but Johnny G rebounding, another podium finish, and then unfortunately for Stu having a bad round. Definitely tough for his championship hopes, but nothing crazy. Just like to see him regroup at the next round.
Johnny?
My final thoughts on the day are good racing. I think this was one of the better battles we saw. Obviously, Craig DeLong kind of getting in front of things, leading it from the front, but then at the end, things really tightened up there. Johnny Gerard made it a race, and hats off to Mike Wachowski. Obviously, just like I said, another solid top 5 race, his best career race. And Grant Baylor, a lot of people not really knowing what we were going to get from him, but he, again, 3 podiums in 7 races. I think the Grizzly is motivated and riding very well.
I love it. I'm gonna bring up Snowshoe. It's never too early to bring up Snowshoe, right? I think back a few years, Ben Kelly was a young XC2 rider. He was clicking off, flirting with overalls. You were getting some top 3s here and there. And I still remember to this day, Caleb Russell said, wait till we get to Snowshoe. You're not going to have that 30-second minute gap in between us. It's going to be mano a mano, buddy. I think that when I think of Grant Davis, he's having a sensational ride. He wants to ride with the big boys. Hey, he's going to get an opportunity to line up with them in several weeks at Snowshoe. So looking forward to that. We've got one more in between, though, the Mason-Dixon here at the beginning of June. We got a little bit of an extended break in between now and then we'll have the Pro Bike race, obviously, on the 2nd. We got Snowshoe, as mentioned, and don't forget, check out out those GNCC highlight videos on racertv.com. They come out on Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock Eastern. I know we've got some Ricky Carmichael's Amateur Supercross in there as well for that. But that is going to wrap things up for us here today. Certainly thank you guys for watching from St. Clairsville, Ohio. On behalf of Jackson Burrell, Zach Herron, Johnny Gallagher, Ben Kelly, Ricky Russell, throw them in there, why not? Camera operators, JC, Matt, Josh, Mike, Leah, Kirsten, and Cameron. Our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, manager, Dan Reinhart, engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our director, Don Hampton, our producer, Adam Gordon, and our executive producer, Miss Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes. We'll see you at the races.